Bellingham Eagles, Oregon Thunderbolts, and we're about ready to get started here. Ryan Downey tee it up and kick it off for the Eagles. Andre Harris appears that he will get the return. Gets outside the 25 looking for room, and it looks like he's going to be pushed out of bounds, and he finally is at the 33-yard line. And this shapes up to be a really good game, Tim. The 3-0 Oregon Thunderbolts against the 3-1 Bellingham Eagles.
Well, Andre Harris was a big pickup for the Thunderbolts last year. He carried the passing game. He led all the receivers, and then they put him in at punt returner, and he was scary. Although it looks like Harris isn't going to start at wide receiver here. Maybe they're saving him for special teams, and maybe he took a couple injuries, I believe, in the first couple games.
And so it's Wade Sparks, the starting quarterback for the Thunderbolts, out of the Thunder Eye, and then they split out. Sparks looking left finds Rod Nightingale, and he gets almost to the 40-yard line. Short gain, well, actually, looks like about 5 or 6 yards on first down, so a good play there. Taking a look at the Thunderbolts offensively, on the line you have House, Jason Lang at left tackle, Dave O'Neill at left guard, Rod Wilson snaps the ball to Wade Sparks, Bubba Robert Brown at right guard, and right tackle is Justin Wachnick. And when you add in Morgan Will, the tight end, we're calling him the one-ton offensive line.
Big old road grader offense.
2nd and 3 from just short of the 40-yard line. There's the give to Calvin Simpkins, and he finds some room.
Oh, look at the speed.
And it looks like he's going to go all the way. One man to beat.
Get him. And
touchdown Thunderbolts.
Wow.
And all it took was two plays. And I forget where we started from, 67 yards. And it's already a touchdown for the Oregon Thunderbolts.
This bounces too much. This really bounces.
You want this wind or not? It's nice and cool. But
I want it. It's hot and stuffy up here. For the kicking duties, as Jeff Wood has been hired by a arena football league team to do their kicking. There's the kick, and
I think
Ivanov
that's Mike Erickson, actually. He's listed as number 6, and that looks like
that is actually Mike Erickson. I was told before the game that it would be Justin Wachnick doing it, but that was Mike Erickson. So very quickly here, in 57 seconds, it's 7-0 Thunderbolts. And in another development this week for the Oregon Thunderbolts, because Jeff Wood is gone, Ryan Vandenacker will do the punting and kicking off. So he's in formation to kick, and he will kick to one of the premier threats of the NWFL, Freeman Basinger Jr., number 6. He takes it at the 10, looking for some room and finding some, goes up the middle, and finally brought down. Good tackle.
Kenny Land,
who might get the start at defensive back, and we got a Thunderbolt down.
Basinger Jr. was unable to catch Simpkins on that run. He tried to have an angle on him, and he couldn't reach him by the time Simpkins crossed the end zone.
And it's Steve Rosario who is down for the Thunderbolts, so we'll take a little bit of a timeout here and come back with 13:50 to go. Oregon Thunderbolts 7, Bellingham Eagles nothing. And now the Bellingham Eagles with their first possession of the ball. It's Eric Franklin at the controls as they start from their own 34-yard line. And there's the give inside to Ryan Downey, who's also doing the kicking. The regular kicker, Munson, is not here today. And he gets a short gain. We'll call that about 4 to the 38-yard line, 2nd and 6.
Looked like Robert Kellis in on the stop along with Devray Simmons and Lonnie Bowden. Hard to tell, all those big bodies in there. That's a lot of Thunderbolts push around, but they did get 4 yards out of it.
Jeremy Hawkinson and Ryan Downey are the running backs behind Eric Franklin. Freeman Basinger Jr. and Neil O'Neill are the receivers. And we'll get with the offensive line of the Eagles after this play as Franklin brings them up.
Neil O'Neill is number 9. I don't think he's out there this play.
And that give.
Number 24. Jeff Phillips is in the receiver.
That give was the number 31, Frank Castaneda, and he gets 1 yard to the 39-yard line. So now 3rd and 5 for the Eagles. And here's how they look up front. Vernell Quinn is the left tackle. Josh Sanchez at left guard. The center is Mark Fierce, David Wagner is the right guard, and Jeff Fisher is the right tackle. Troy Stevenson is the tight end.
Yeah, O'Neill checks in, and there is no tight end. Oh, there's a tight end. O'Neill checks in at the near wide receiver.
So
he's a refugee from the Snohomish Vikings.
Franklin back to pass.
Bowden with a big pressure.
And over the head of Neil O'Neill, but almost intercepted. Almost intercepted by David Walker. So 3 plays and out, or as we call it, a chorus line possession, 1-2-3 kick for the Bellingham Eagles on their first possession. And
what would that be in Canadian football? Would that be a waltz?
I'm not sure exactly, but Andre Harris, familiar number 9, will be back to receive the kick.
Like Bellingham's close to Canada, eh? I think they're used to those Canadian rules.
It'll be Ryan Downey who does punting duties for the Eagles. And the Thunderbolts are trying to get set up as far as how many players are out on the field. We've seen in the past this year already where the Thunderbolts have taken a penalty for too many men on the field on punting plays.
Well, this play only counted 10. We can check it out.
And there's a punt that's out of bounds at about we'll call it the 17-yard line of the Thunderbolts, and that's where they will take over, 83 yards away from the end zone, and they already have a 7-0 lead. So 1st and 10 for the Thunderbolts from their own 17. And they sent out Anthony Jordan and Rod Nightingale as the receivers. Morgan Wills the tight end. And Calvin Simpkins gets the start at running back, and he gets the ball yet again, but this time not nearly as much room as he had last time. Also a late penalty flag coming in, so we'll have to see what that's all about. That might be lining up in the neutral zone by the defense, but we'll have to see what the call is actually made.
Well, Simpkins, before that huge run he made, I was going to comment on what a great block he made. The play before on the pass to Nightingale, the Thunderbolts' only other offensive play, he saved Wade Sparks' bacon when the backside pressure came. He stepped up and took the block, and then Wade Sparks able to connect with Rod Nightingale. And then, of course, the next play, he was off to the races.
And no such luck on a defensive penalty. It's actually holding against the Thunderbolts. The 1-ton offensive line flagged for the holding. We don't know because they don't report what number it is. So now it'll be 1st down and long. We're going to call that 1st and 19 from the 8-yard line. And now probably going to have to pass here. It's Alonzo Harden who lines up as the fullback in front of Calvin Simpkins. And there's the give to Simpkins again. This time he's going to try the left side. Finds a little room to roam.
Nice push by Will. He pushed his man back 10 yards back to the 20-yard line.
And they got just about back to where they started from on this possession. Down to up to the 16-yard line. So not bad when you run on 1st down after being penalized and you almost get the penalty yardage back. So 2nd and 11.
Great pressure by the 1-ton offense. They just pushed that Bellingham defense back. The whole defensive line was back 10 yards.
And we've seen that all year long where Bob Cole said he wanted to play smash mouth football. And pretty much whenever the Thunderbolts have done that, it's to great success. So on 2nd and 11, we have a split backs formation. Sparks back to pass, looking, now flushed out of the pocket. Looks like he's going to run. Gets to about the 20, and it's going to get knocked out of bounds.
Didn't have anybody open that time. He got about 4 yards. It looked like the Bellingham Eagles defense was all crouched up at the line ready to stop the run. I thought maybe there would be a pass opportunity there, but Sparks didn't have time to throw it.
And it was Sylvester Doc Barron who knocked Sparks out of bounds at the 20-yard line. So that's going to make it 3rd and 7. And again, it's Nightingale and Jordan with Harden and Simpkins behind Sparks. Definitely looking to pass here, I'm going to bet. Harden goes in motion.
Defensive line looks like a bunch of
and there was a delay to Simpkins, and he fumbles the ball, and it looks like the Eagles have it at the 12-yard line, and they do. That was number 90 who came up with that one.
I don't think that was a clean handoff.
Andrew Braun comes up with the fumble, and a turnover deep in their own territory gives the Eagles a chance to even up this game when it looked like after 2 offensive plays that this thing was going to be a runaway.
Well, I was just looking at that Bellingham defensive line lined up against the 1-ton road grader offense. It looked like a bunch of defensive backs up there against the offensive line. However, they were quick enough to get in there, disrupt that play, and then cause that fumble and recover it. So now the Bellingham Eagles in business.
And it's Franklin that brings them up to the line in the single back set.
Brian Young, number 3, is the tailback. He's 5'10", 230. Might be hard to bring down.
And
pressure by Berge. Ball on the ground.
But that's just going to be a sack for Nathan Berge as he just got through he and Aaron Dressler came in pretty much untouched. And Berge, well, Studley, that's what we've been calling him, but Studley comes up with the sack, and that's a big, huge loss. We actually started at the 13-yard line. That's a 7-yard loss on first down. So 2nd and 17. And this is the other thing we've seen. We've seen the defensive line and linebackers of the Thunderbolts dominate the other team's offensive line, no matter pretty much who it was. When they needed a big play, they usually got it.
Well, we haven't seen the Thunderbolts' defensive secondary tested much in a game situation yet.
Out of the shotgun, it's Franklin. Again with Young. This time he'll be the protector. Quick pass over the middle, and let's see, no catch. It's no catch. Freeman Basinger Jr. was the intended receiver. Mike London and Anthony Davis had double coverage. That tells you how good Freeman Basinger Jr. is. He's in the top 10 in a lot of offensive categories in the league so far this year. And he appeared to be open. If the ball was better thrown, they would have had the ball inside the 10. They would have had the ball inside the 10-yard line.
He had to dive for that ball and then ended up hitting the turf with it. It was a very narrow, perfect throw. It was almost the perfect throw. And the perfect catch would have netted that first down, maybe.
And so 3rd and 17. And
they
now
changed their backfield to account for Berge in the pass rush.
So out of the shotgun, Franklin again, looking, throws right for the corner of the end zone. That's way over the head of Neil O'Neill.
Triple coverage. Dressler, Davis, and Walker all back there on that pass.
And now let's see how much confidence the head coach has in their kicking game as to whether they kick it or not, or whether they just go ahead and go for it. I do see Downey out there. However, he can play running back or tight end, so we'll see if they break what's going to happen there. I'm told that number 81, Troy Stevenson, is the holder. So, and since he's out there, this could end up being a field goal attempt, but it appears now they're just going to simply go for it.
That's interesting. 4th down and 15. Got to get clear down to the 3 to convert, and they're going for it. That says something about their kicking game.
Yeah, and without the number 1 kicker here, you can see that. And Franklin throws left, and that is broken up well by David Walker as he was looking for Neil O'Neill, and Walker breaks it up. Almost came up with the interception. So with the turnover on downs,
fortunately he didn't. However, with the big yardage.
Actually, I think his momentum would have carried him into the end zone, and they would have ended up at the 20-yard line anyway. So,
well, then he would have had the INT on his stat sheet.
Absolutely true.
Well, Neil O'Neill's the kind of player that'll catch a ball like that. We've seen him play for the Snohomish Vikings, and he's feisty. He's got great hands, possession-type receiver, and he's come up with a lot of balls like that. He's also large. He's like 6'3", and so Walker, fortunate to get that kind of a look at the ball.
And again, the 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, and that's probably going to be illegal motion on the Thunderbolts. However, with the possible loss on the play here, and it will be a 2-yard loss, it'll be interesting to see what the Eagles do, whether they decide to take the down on the 2-yard loss or if they take the 5-yard loss with the down over.
It looked like the Thunderbolts kind of stopped after they saw the flag and quit playing football, but the whistle hadn't even blown yet.
Because it was a live ball penalty. It was Alonzo Harden who took off a little bit early and started that whole thing. And they do, in fact, decline the penalty and take the 2-yard loss, so 2nd and 12.
Harden checks out, and Berge's in at fullback.
And I think with this offense, that was probably a good thing. Don't give them any more chances to score, especially on the second play when they run 60 yards around right end for a touchdown. Don't give them any more chances than they need. And besides,
well, it was a loss of 2. I can understand them accepting that penalty.
And there's the pitch sweep at Simpkins.
Outside.
And the ball's loose again. O'Neal almost had it. The ball's still loose. Now it's under a pile of people. We'll see who comes up with that one.
Nightingale might have it. Nightingale is the Thunderbolts' designated fumble recoverer. Recovered a huge fumble for the Bengals game. And once again, number 4, Rod Nightingale, comes up with the ball.
And as referee White Hat Tom Ranella signals third down, that means the Thunderbolts recovered the ball, and it was Nightingale, as we saw in Week 2, because in Week 1 the Thunderbolts had the day off. Week 2, it was Rod Nightingale who came up with that fumble in the back of the end zone, which allowed the Thunderbolts to tie the game at 14 and send it into a third overtime, which the Thunderbolts eventually ended up winning the game 21-20.
I think they actually picked up a half yard on that fumble play.
But we're just going to call that still a no gain, and now 3rd and 12. And again, it looks like they're looking to pass. This time it's Berge at fullback, and throwing over the middle for Morgan Will, and he almost makes the catch, and then it's almost intercepted.
Nice pass, nice attempted catch, but it's got to be hard to see that ball when you're that tall and it's right above your head. You can't see it with your helmet on, and you can't turn around and try and make a play on it, but he got one hand on it, and it almost dropped into his belly.
And Michael Nault, the starting free safety and backup quarterback, almost came up with the interception after it came out of Morgan Will's hands. So now, apparently I was given wrong information. Now it's not going to be Brian Vandenacker. It will be Mike Erickson in punt formation against the wind.
And now they're trying the 11th Thunderbolt onto the field.
That's Andre Harris. They're trying to get everything set up. And apparently he's the 12th guy because they're sending him right back off. Erickson gets the kickoff.
Not bad considering. It's going to be fielded though. Number 43, Dylan Brashear.
And Brashear gets knocked out of bounds at about the 31-yard line of the Thunderbolts. So again, the Eagles with great field position, we'll call that the 30 now. So again, great field position with a chance to punch this in, but the Eagles hoping for a little better results than they did last. 1st and 10 from the Thunderbolt 30 for the Eagles as they try to tie this ball game up. And there's the give and a lot of room to run.
Carlos Gaston, number 5.
And he gets knocked out of bounds at the 18-yard line. That'll be good enough for a first down. 12 yards on first down running around the left side. And that's something we have not seen a lot of this year on the Thunderbolt defense.
Gaston, 5'10", 210 out of the University of Washington. And he looks bigger than that to me. Although 5'10 is fairly... Well, I'm 5'10. What can I say?
5'10", 210 is pretty big, even in football terms.
He looks bigger than me, okay? He looks bigger than me. I'm 5'10", 210. He looks like he's about 230. Maybe that was just being nice to him on the roster. However, he showed great athletic ability getting around the corner there.
And there's the give to Jeremy Hawkinson, and he is going nowhere.
Well, he ran into his man. Brandon Reyna was right there, and he hit him in the back.
And that's pretty much going to be no gain on first down there. So 2nd and 10, and the Thunderbolt defense now getting a little serious here. And another scary development here, or something that we don't like to see, the Thunderbolt offense not moving the football despite the 1-ton offensive line and giving the ball to the Eagles deep in their own territory.
Well, yeah, we were noticing the size differential. The Eagles' defensive line is not very big. It seemed like if they get back to some just push them around kind of football, I don't know, they were getting a little too tricky.
Franklin's pass to the right side going for Basinger, and that's just too far away. There is no way, even without coverage, it looked like Basinger wouldn't have came down with that. And again, he draws double coverage from, well, that's David Walker, and I believe...
Calvin Armstead?
No, I believe that's Anthony Davis. Yes, Anthony Davis and Walker. So Basinger is going to get a lot of attention from the Thunderbolt defense. As I alluded to before, in a number of offensive categories, he is in the top 10. And the guy's just a stud. He's number 1 in catches and number 1 in yardage in the Northwest Football League so far in the 2000 season.
I don't think he's caught a pass today. He almost caught one down there near the goal line.
And generally with double coverage, it's very tough to get a lot of catches.
Gaston again with the ball, going around the same side, trying to pick on that cornerback. Jake Hendricks, not real big over there. It looks like they're trying to run right at him.
And before the game, David Brannon was telling me that we knew that Hendricks was going to be one of the corners, but he thought that Kenny Land might be the other cornerback, but we've been seeing David Walker more than that. So again, now another fourth down situation deep in the Thunderbolt territory, and it appears again they're going to go for it. Gaston and Downey are going to be the running backs behind Franklin. O'Neill and Basinger again going to be the receivers with Stevenson at tight end. He backs off the line in the I formation, so they're going for it on 4th and 5. And back to pass, throwing right again for Basinger. Touchdown, Eagles.
Single coverage. They had him all out there by himself with Walker. No help, and I was thinking that all along that they're going to just look for him because they were on that far hash mark. He had the whole 2/3 of the field to work with, and single coverage ain't going to get it done, especially when there's no pass rush.
That's what they've been doing all game long until.
And it's Frank Castaneda, not you said Castaneda or something like that. Just saying.
Oh, so he doesn't pronounce it the Spanish way, huh? Okay.
He doesn't do peyote either.
Okay. Ryan Downey in out of the hold of Troy Stevenson to tie this game up.
Wind is at his back at this point, swirling around. It might not.
He
be
might
good.
have missed that. No, it is good. It is
it's always
good.
hard to tell from up here whether that's going through or going around. I guess you can tell when you're standing underneath the pole, huh?
And with the tie game, Ryan Downey tees it up again. And this one goes to number 23. He gets some room running outside. Now going to take it back the other way. He's got nowhere to go. Knocked out of bounds at about the 28-yard line.
Austin Pitchlin, running back, number 23, and he might have been better off just putting his head down and going up the field at that point. He got a nice little block from number 37, Michael Hagstrand, around the corner there, but then he just stopped and was going to try and do some dancing, and he ended up dancing back towards the other way.
So we're going to call it the 27-yard line, and that's where the Thunderbolts will start their 4th possession of the game. And we now have a 7-7 tie. It's Nightingale and Jordan again. This time we have Morgan Will at tight end and Nathan Berge or Studley in the fullback position, and Alonzo Harden behind him as Harden gets the carry. A little room to run, gets past the 35 the 30 out to the 31. So 4 yards on first down on that play.
And it looks like 10 of the 11 Bellingham Eagles are all sitting up there at the line of scrimmage waiting to see that running game. I think the Thunderbolts are going to have to open it up with some short passes, some kind of passing game, and spread that out.
Two-way tackle. Jeff Fisher, number 91, came up with the stop on that play. Eagles with a few people going both ways, including Freeman Basinger Jr. at the top of your screen.
Is that 11 in the box?
Almost. It looked like 9. And there's Berge up the middle, goes to the right, and gets close to a first down, but it looks like it'll be about a yard short.
Mark Urban made a nice tackle, or he would have got the first down. He just barely got him by the leg, but that was enough. He was the only man there.
You know. Okay.
This guy's yelling at the
And so 3rd and short.
Yelling.
Again, the give to Berge way up the middle, more than enough for the first down. And a good tackle. Was that Urban again?
No, that was number 43, Dylan Brashear.
Brashear makes the tackle. Otherwise, it's Nathan Berge taking it all the way into the end zone. So first down, Thunderbolts. So they moved.
I'm not sure about the end zone, but I'd like to see. I would have liked to have seen him attempt to get to the end zone anyway. He probably would have had a couple of guys grab him and drag him down.
So we'll call it the 46-yard line of the Thunderbolts, 1st and 10. This time it's Nightingale and Harris at wide receiver. Again, Berge in front of Alonzo Harden. There's the give to Harden, or Bronco, as he's called by his teammates.
Oh, what a crushing block by Berge.
And that's a nice shoestring tackle by number 50, and we'll get his name really quickly here. That was Warren Harris, the middle linebacker, coming over to make the stop. Otherwise, that play goes for a lot more than the 2 yards that they just got.
Number 14 on the defense, Paul Riley, listed as a quarterback, 6'1", 230 out of Western Washington.
He's actually the starting weak side linebacker.
And he just got crushed. Berge came around the corner and put him on his rump on that sweep. Boy, if the whole offensive line was blocking like that, there would be some more big runs in this game for the Thunderbolts.
And there may yet still be some in the future. There's Berge again, this time testing the right side. Gets about a couple yards, so that's going to set up about 3rd and 5. 3rd and a long 5, we'll call it.
That looked painful. He got hit in the back while he was going down, kind of like a spearing move in the center of his back.
And strong side defensive end Jeff Fisher again in on the stop for the Eagles. And again, Bob Cole, he said it before the first game, and he says it all the time. We're going to play smash mouth football. That's what works for us. That's what we want to do. Well, that's what they're doing right now, and we'll see if it continues to work. Yes, we'll see if it continues to work. It is on this drive. It hasn't the last couple of drives.
Well, it's 3rd and over 5 now. They're going to have to at least diversify their offense a little bit because the Eagles are just teeing off on their running game. It doesn't matter how big you are when you got 11 against.
And it's Jordan and Harris are the receivers. Sparks back to pass, feels a little bit of pressure and overthrows Jordan, almost intercepted by Freeman Basinger Jr., and that's going to force the Thunderbolts to punt.
Or not. Or punt. I hear the punt call now.
And I think this time we're going to see Vandenacker as Mike Erickson barking orders saying, okay, this time it's you, kid. I think maybe what's going to happen here, Tim, is the further they are away from the goal line, their own goal line, the more chance you're going to see Vandenacker be the actual punter.
That way they don't give up a big play in their end zone like the safety was against.
And the thing about Vandenacker is he's very talented, but he's also inexperienced. So you don't want him to try and make a decision on something goofy that happens close to your own end zone.
Decent snap.
And there's a pretty good kick.
Knocks it away.
And there's Dylan Brashear making the return. Ooh. Finds some room. Gets past the 30. Gets to the 30-yard line.
Going on that play. I guess it was a legal shot down there on number 27, Jamin Dyson, but it looked like he hit him in the back.
So the Thunderbolt drive stalls. So after that first possession, where they go 2 plays and 67 yards, nothing, and a couple of fumbles even in there.
So now the Thunderbolts defense actually has a chance. They're down in the Bellingham end of the field, and we'll see if they can come up with a big play now. Last 2 drives, they've been in a hole, once at the 20 and once at the 30, and they're fairly lucky to have only given up 1 touchdown. It's about 2 minutes left in the first quarter. Sweep around the left side.
And that's Hawkinson with the ball, and he's finally carried out of bounds, but it's called inbounds, and it's Anthony Davis who makes the tackle, but not before Hawkinson gets, we're going to call that 6 yards on first down, so 2nd and 4.
Hawkinson, another one of the Western Washington. I believe they're the Eagles. I may be wrong on that.
I'm not sure. Not up on my Western Washington trivia or anything like that. I don't know if they're called the Eagles. I wouldn't be surprised because that is listed as their home field, but as we've been told by people who work for them, they're really nomadic right now, and the Thunderbolts know what that's all about. And there's a give inside and lots of room to run right there for number 31, and that is Frank Castaneda, who gets all the way into Thunderbolt territory down to the 33-yard line in a big play and a big first down.
He almost got caught by Greg Gadboy. It's a big defensive lineman. He was chasing him down from behind, but Castaneda had just enough speed to stay away from him for about 15 yards.
And again, not what we're used to seeing against the Oregon Thunderbolts in the year 2000.
Oh, bad. It's the Vikings.
It's the Vikings. The Vikings.
Western Washington Vikings. of Bellingham. Anyway, they have a lot of players on this team. I've looked on their roster.
The Eagles and the West Sound Orcas were the only teams in the NWFL to play last week, as the Eagles won at West Sound 25-15. And there's Franklin back to pass, and that's a hurry.
And there's nobody there. Well, Basinger's trying to go, hey, I'm over here. I'm within 20 yards.
And again, that's what we're used to seeing. That was Lonnie Bowden and
I think it was the stud.
And Studley, Nathan Berge in to force Franklin to throw that ball away. And it looked like he was fortunate not to be flagged for intentional grounding. Now, in the NWFL, they use the old, not the new, but the old NFL rule as far as getting out of the pocket, where you have to get outside the tackle, and then you can throw the ball away.
Isn't that the new rule?
Well, the new rule's slightly different, but they go by the old rule. But as we've seen, they've changed.
In high school and college, you just can't throw it away, period, right?
Period, correct. So now the shotgun, 2nd and 10. And there's the give again to Ryan Downey. And Downey gets good yardage out of bounds, this time to the 27-yard line of the Thunderbolts. That'll bring up 3rd and short. We'll call it about 3.
Number 58, Robert Kellis, got fooled on that play. He had that contain on that side, and he stepped inside. His man held him inside, and then the running back just went right around him, and he wasn't able to contain that side.
A little counter crossback action on that play. So we'll call it 4. 3rd and 4. This time out of the shotgun again with 2 bodyguards.
Do I know anything about football?
Well, Stevenson, the tight end, goes in motion. Franklin back to pass, looking the right side in to Basinger, and overthrows him.
Good pressure applied by Greg Gadbois. Once again, came around from the defensive end. Now they blocked Berge, and they've been keeping an eye on Berge, but that time Gadbois was able to get in there as well.
And it looked like
a throw.
And it looked like it was a good thing that they did rush that throw, because Basinger looked like he was open and he could have got at least a 1st down. So again, that brings up another 4th down opportunity, and I don't see them kicking. They haven't kicked yet, and they've been deeper. So they're going to go for it on 4th and 4.
Now we got 17 seconds left in the first quarter here, so this may be the last play, unless it's an incompletion.
And it's a 4 wide receiver set. That looks like Downey in the backfield. Throws over the middle, and it's caught by Basinger at the 15, trying to look for some room. And if it wasn't for Aaron Dressler to slow him down so that Anthony Davis, Hendricks, and is that Walker? If that's Walker, Basinger gets into the end zone, but he does get down to the Thunderbolt 13-yard line and gain a 1st down.
And the clock's going to probably run out now. 7 seconds, and they're still in their huddle.
And yes, that will be the last play of the first quarter. So after 1 quarter of play here at Harefield in Hillsboro, we have a tie ball game. It's the Oregon Thunderbolts 7 and the Bellingham Eagles 7. Finally a good game. And we begin the second quarter in a tie ball game between the Bellingham Eagles and the Oregon Thunderbolts here at Harefield, Hillsboro, the home field of the Oregon Thunderbolts in the year 2000. It's 1st and 10 from the 13-yard line for the Eagles against the Thunderbolts. There's the handoff inside to Downey going up the middle. He gets 3 down to the 10. And I believe that was either Lonnie Bowden or Robert Kellis, actually, who makes the tackle on that play.
I was looking over here at number 24, the wide receiver Jeff Phillips. Once again, when they made their touchdown last time, they isolated him out here, gave him 2/3 of the field to work with, but that time it was a running play, and they didn't look that way. Setting it up for next time, though. Thunderbolts better keep an eye out here on the wide receiver. This time, Jake Hendricks is out here.
So on 2nd and 7 at the Thunderbolt 10, the Eagles once again knocking at the door.
And Phillips split way out wide, about 20 yards from the rest of the formation.
And there's Franklin, and he gets rid of the ball. No flag on the play, so they're going to call that an incompletion. Aaron Dressler with the quarterback hurry. That's what they're going to call that. Dressler pretty much in there unmolested, gets in on Franklin and forces the incomplete pass.
So the Thunderbolt defense holding tough here. They can still give up a first down inside the 5.
At about the 3 yard, just inside the 3 yard line is where that would happen. And now we get some wholesale substitutions here.
Well, this was quite an impressive drive by the Bellingham defense. Although they had, or offense, they had that one big run up the middle that got the majority of the yardage. But they began this about their 30-yard line.
And there's the give to Castaneda, and it looks like he's going to get into the end zone. He's got the room, and that's a touchdown for the Bellingham Eagles. A 10-yard run by Castaneda.
And I guess he's deserving because he's the one that got the bulk of the yardage on that drive.
6 plays, 70 yards, and the Bellingham Eagles have taken the lead on Castaneda's 10-yard run over the left side.
And it's interesting they're going to go ahead and kick these extra points, but they shied away from the short field goal earlier.
But I don't think they got close enough. They never got to the 2-yard line without actually scoring. And that one looks good from here. Now, that for some reason over at that end, we can see that. But over at the other end, which we're closer, we can't see that. Up again. This is the first time the Thunderbolts have trailed since the first overtime of their first game against Pierce County. And there's Austin Pitchland pretty much with no place to run before he runs into big number 90, Andrew Braun. And the Thunderbolts will start at their own 24-yard line. Now a late flag coming in, so we're going to see which way that goes. That could be a big flag.
I think it might be against the Eagles because I saw the Eagle guy push number 23, Pitchland, the ball carrier, after the play was over.
And it looked like it was Michael Nault, free safety and backup quarterback.
Unsportsmanlike conduct against the defense.
And you can bet that the way Nault was acting, it was against him. So now instead of the 24-yard line, they're going to start close to the 40, about the 39-yard line. We'll see where they actually place this, but it should be very close to the 40-yard line. And how many times have we seen in football, Tim, where a big penalty like that gives the offense of the other team, especially the impetus, to put that sucker in the end zone? You give them a free 15 yards. And
well, I just don't understand what's stopping the Thunderbolts' offense today. They have that defensive line outweighed by a good 1,000 pounds, and they're just not moving the ball. Although, like I said, they have been kind of stacking the middle.
And there's Simpkins right up the middle, and he's met.
Good defense.
Short gain.
It's just great defense.
And
they're undersized, but they're there. They're right there at the point of attack.
Michael Nault atones for getting the penalty by making the stop on the play. Good job.
Yeah.
We
have a really fat team.
Yeah.
They weigh a lot.
So a short gain of 2. It's going to be 2nd and 8. It's going to be Nightingale and Jordan out wide for the Thunderbolts. Morgan Will's going to be the tight end, and it's going to be Berge in front of Simpkins. And this one's to Berge as he goes up the middle. He breaks a tackle, breaks another tackle before he's finally wrapped up by Dylan Brashear, but not before he gets another 4 yards, and that's going to bring up 3rd and shorts.
Number 42, Mike Hughes for the Bellingham Eagles, lost his shoe on that play. He might have time to lace it up before the Thunderbolts snap the ball again. This is a brand new field, isn't it?
The field itself is not new. The Hare Field has been around for a long time. The turf is new. The turf has been around less than 2 years, and the track is a little bit older than that. So it's a new artificial turf field. This used to be grass, and there's Berge up the middle again, and this time he's going to have yardage enough for the first down.
Well, there's some of that blocking, some of that poundage moving in a positive direction.
And it was Michael Nault again. Michael Nault again, who comes up with the tackle. But how many times have we said this? If you're the defensive coordinator, you don't want to look at the stat sheet and see that your free safety, your strong safety, and your cornerbacks have made all the tackles.
Well, I'm hoping that they're going to call some quicker plays inside that enable the offensive line to get that first push instead of the second when the defense has time to get off their block and then make the tackle. That's been when the running backs hit the hole. It's been a little too late.
Because the Eagles have
quick
shown
blast
quickness.
right up the middle.
Exactly. And there's Berge again. And
The
this
Red
time
Sea
it's a
parts
ghost.
right when Berge gets the handoff, and then that's it. It's going to close if you're diddling around in the backfield.
A host of tacklers, but it was Fisher and number 43, Dylan Brashear, along with many others, to make the tackle, but not before a gain of about 6 on first down. Actually, we're going to call that, we'll call that 6. So
You think
second
it's
and
possible for Berge to be the most valuable player on offense and in defense in the same game? And maybe special teams?
I think so. I think from what we've seen this year from him, it's
saw him
absolutely possible.
The most valuable player on special teams and on defense the first game.
Exactly.
And now throw him in the mix at fullback. Oh, now they brought Bill in at fullback. The half case.
The half case is in, and he's in front of Simpkins. And there's the give to Simpkins. Big hole up the middle.
Oh,
Gets
what a
inside
move.
the 30, the 20, 15, 10. Touchdown, Thunderbolts.
And he put the move on Basinger Jr. again. Basinger
Calvin
Jr.'s
Simpkins.
athletic supporters sitting down there on the hash mark about the 10-yard line.
Calvin Simpkins,
I
a
can say
42-yard touchdown run, as now the Thunderbolts have a chance to retie this game, this time at 14.
Well, that must mean he has 100 yards because he had a 60-yard run in the first quarter and a 40-yard run there and 2 touchdowns. I think I want to draft him on my fantasy football team.
Well, you
Get
said you
points
wanted
for
to
those
draft
yards.
Sparks. You wanted to draft Sparks. Now you want to draft Simpkins. I think you're out of draft picks almost.
Well, I get a quarterback and a running back, right?
Well, there you go. Now you're out. Now I get to draft some.
Okay, you can have Basinger Jr.
And this time
he's still available.
This time we do see Justin Wachnick in to take the extra point out of the hold of Ryan Ivanoff and the snap of House.
That's
Jason
an
Lang.
interesting development.
And it looked like they were offsides, and the kick is no good. But I think we're going to see that one over again.
I wondered why number 25 stopped. He stood there in perfect block position and then stopped.
And the Thunderbolts take a timeout because of the penalty. It doesn't look like they've moved the ball, but because of the penalty, they're going to go ahead and go for 2 here.
Well, with that last field goal attempt, I'm kind of glad they are.
And there's Berge up the middle, and he
Not stopped
doesn't get
yet.
away. He does not get away, so the extra point attempt fails. And that was too bad. I don't know why
Dylan
they didn't-
Brashear, number 43, made that tackle.
But I'm not understanding why they decided to go for 2, because there was a penalty on the play, but they never moved the football.
The penalty was against who?
The penalty was against Bellingham. That's why we replayed the down. But they didn't. They never moved the football. And so a curious development there. They go for 2, even though the ball wasn't moved after the penalty, and Ryan Vandenacker gets his foot into it. Freeman Basinger Jr. takes it at the 6. He's going to go up the middle, and he found some room, but Sal Corona comes up with the stop.
Corona.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Sal Corona. All right.
Don't scare Amy, you guys.
No, my Sharona.
The Thunderbolts go 5 plays, 61 yards to come within a point, but they fail to tie the game. 14-13 Eagles as they start their second possession of the second quarter at their own 29-yard line. There goes Stevenson in motion. And there's the give.
Nice play by Kellis to blow that up.
But
Looked
number
like they grabbed his
27,
leg and he didn't get to make
Jeremy
the tackle.
Hawkinson gets all the way out to the 36-yard line before he's forced out of bounds. And that's 7 yards on first down. Good job of blocking up front to seal off the Thunderbolts and get outside. Now they're going to call it the 36-yard line.
Yeah, I think Kellis got held after he made that initial contact. That one of the Eagles grabbed his foot and he was unable to turn around and grab the ball carrier.
So 2nd and 3.
But that's probably something hard to see down there on the field.
Yes, we have such a great view up here. We can see everything. But down on the field where the officials are, they can't see that. Sometimes. So 2nd and short, and curiously, they're going to go out of the shotgun on 2nd, and they also send this tight end Stevenson in motion, and there's the give up the middle.
DeVray Simmons made the stop.
Frank Castaneda with the carry, and Simmons makes the stop, but that's a yard short of a first down, so 3rd and 1.
Well, that was a good play. It was well conceived, and the Thunderbolts fell for it, and he almost got away, but Simmons stayed around in the middle there and made the play.
Kind of interesting on 2nd and short that you go through the shotgun formation.
Well, once again, the Thunderbolts have the outside. They're outsized the offensive line, and so it's going to be hard to kind of push them out of the way. So why not draw them out of the way?
3rd and short, and Eric Franklin looks like he got the first down.
Play. Franklin heads up there, saw that blitz coming, held onto the ball, and fell forward for the first down.
And Aaron Dressler came up with a stop, but not before he gains 3 yards and a first down. And that was too bad because there was a whole bunch of Thunderbolts around him when they had the defensive lineman push. But then once the line went past, he just snuck through, got across the line to gain, and it's a first down.
Sometimes the defense can be a little too good. That was the case.
In a sport like football, timing is everything. It's O'Neal and Basinger at the wide receiver. Double offset backs setup. Quick pass to O'Neal. Looking for room, and forget about it. As it's number 54 for the Thunderbolts.
Great pursuit by the Thunderbolts defense on that play. O'Neal had nowhere to go.
And that's one of the newer players, Carl McRae, who came up with a stop on that play. Gain of about, we'll call that 4. But a quick play to Basinger to O'Neal to try and get some yardage.
Well, they did. They got 4 yards. It's a decent play.
And I think
San Francisco West Coast offense kind of play.
And it also looks like Basinger is probably going to draw double coverage a lot, or at least help coverage a lot, and maybe going to O'Neal will be a good idea for the Bellingham Eagles offense. Out of the eye, the give, and that is
Carlos Gaston.
Carlos Gaston again.
Runs in the first quarter.
And he is brought down just short of a first down. We're going to call that about a half a yard short. 3rd and short again.
And he always runs to the left.
I guess sometimes people can only look one way or something like that, and maybe left is his way.
Is he the guy with the one eye, one glass? Oh. He goes both ways?
Yes, and everything.
So on 3rd and short, we have wholesale changes in the backfield as we go back to the starting backfield, which is Hawkinson and Downey. Only this time we have a new receiver in the game, the normal kick and punt returner, Kirk Jones, along with Basinger. And there's Jones with the ball, makes the catch, gets inside the 40 before he's finally dropped by Mr. Hendricks. And looking at that number 5 just a little bit a while ago, we had a guest with us in the booth, the guy who used to wear number 5, the guy associated with number 5 wearing a Thunderbolt uniform.
I'm surprised they didn't retire number 5.
Van Velarde was up here to say hi and everything, and
no, if they retire his number, then there would be no number 5 that didn't say Van Velarde on it.
And now Kenny Land comes in for the Thunderbolt defense to play cornerback, and he's going to draw Basinger as an assignment.
Well, Land's been around the block. He's played for the Thunderbolts in the past, and he played very well.
And there's Castaneda this time going to the right.
Look at Land. He's got
that
that play all sealed up around the corner there. He got off his man, got rid of that receiver, and was looking for the run.
And that was a good job by Kenny Land as they get negative yardage. 2-yard loss on that play. So a good job of coming off of Basinger, smelling the run, and forcing a loss. And unlike recent weeks, Tim, where games have been blown out by the end of the first quarter or earlier, we have ourselves a good game this time.
Too good. It's not an automatic W.
And this is an important stretch of the year for the Eagles. They play the Columbia Cougars next week, the other undefeated team, along with the Oregon Thunderbolts and the Puget Sound Jets. And there's Land again, who almost sacks Franklin, but he gets the pass off, and it's completed to Basinger, and Basinger is tripped up at about the 8-yard line down to the 6. And was that Hendricks? Yes, that was Hendricks who saved the touchdown as Franklin got off the long pass to Freeman Basinger Jr. Big gain on the play.
Land upset with himself. He almost had the sack or the quarterback pressure there, and Franklin able to barely get it out of there, and then it looked spectacular after that.
Eric Franklin, we should tell you, is a very well-traveled quarterback. He's played for about 4 teams in this league. The Bengals, the Jets are the 2 that I can remember the most, but he's been around, and having a veteran quarterback is really helpful in this league. So 1st and goal from the 6-yard line, and the Thunderbolt defense is being called upon again to make the stop. Stevenson in motion, and Franklin, that was a broken play. Greg Gadbois got the tackle for the loss, but that looked like it was supposed to be maybe an option play to the left, and Gadbois just came right in and stopped him, but something didn't go right on that
Unblocked,
play.
I think.
Yes.
Nobody got a hat on him.
But I think
the quarterback turned around and didn't expect to see number 91 in all his full glory about 2 feet from him.
Yeah, when Franklin turned around to assess the situation, the assessment was very grim very quickly. But that did look like, from the body language of Franklin, that was supposed to be an option play. And we alluded to this before. Option plays don't work a lot if you do them a lot in this level of football, because the athletes on defense are just too good. So now it's 2nd and goal, this time from the 10-yard line, as the Eagles are going the wrong way, at least for them.
Second goal from the 10.
Pass, and that one's over the head of
that was almost a lateral.
Over the head of Hawkins, and that was almost a lateral. But again, Franklin feeling the pressure from Kellis, I believe Kellis and Dressler came in on that one to force the early throw. And that play is more indicative of what we've seen from the Thunderbolt defense this year, where a quarterback goes back to pass and either has to run for his life or hurry his throw. And I think we saw a little bit of both on that play.
Well, I was surprised that everybody didn't go after the football and just make sure and cover it, make sure that it wasn't a fumble, because that play was the ball landed on the 15-yard line, and the line of scrimmage was the 10. It was 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and yet nobody even made an attempt to try and cover it.
So out of the shotgun, Franklin looking left, now throws over the middle and overthrows. Well, actually, I think that was supposed to be a crossing pattern for Basinger, and a lot of pointing around and everything. The Eagles wanting pass interference, but somehow no connection between Franklin and Basinger Jr.
Well, once again, Gadbois came up the middle. It looked like a stunt, and he came up the middle.
And now we have a timeout.
On the quarterback.
We have a timeout by the Eagles. So we'll take a little break here with 3:54 to go in the half. With the score, the Bellingham Eagles 14, the Oregon Thunderbolts 13. So 4th and goal from the 10, and this time they are going to try the field goal from the 17-yard line. That's a 27-yard field goal, but hold on a second. That's either going to be a longer or shorter field goal as we have contact on the line.
Well, it's also difficult. It's going to be on that hash mark. And from the hash mark, it's really kind of a difficult kick. The pro hash marks are more towards the center, but the high school, college hash marks are way out there. And when you get down there by that goal line, the goalpost is actually pretty narrow from that perspective.
And the officials rule offsides on the Thunderbolts, so now 4th and goal from the 5. And we don't see Eric Franklin out there, or do we? Downey is out there, and he is the kicker, so yes, they will go for the field goal, this time 5 yards shorter.
That might actually be harder.
22-yard field goal for Ryan Downey.
That makes that angle kick even more narrow.
Out of the hold of Stevenson, it's up, and it is good.
Wow.
From 22 yards, it's Ryan Downey with the field goal. And with 3:49 to go, that extends their lead to 17-13. Off after connecting on the 22-yard field goal. And there's Kenny Land with the return. Gets to about the 25-yard line, finding some room. out to the 30, the 35, to the 37-yard line. A good return by Kenny Land.
Well, he made a little dance move, but instead of dancing and dancing, he made a dance move and then he made a power move up the field, which is the difference what we saw earlier by the Thunderbolt returners. And that way he actually got about 10 more yards instead of getting nothing.
So the Eagles on their last possession, 7 plays, 66 yards, culminating in the 22-yard field goal by Ryan Downey, extend their lead to 17-13. And again, we find the Thunderbolts in unfamiliar territory in the year 2000, falling behind as time ticks off the clock, because that's the first time this year where they have been behind while time is ticked off the clock. Sparks back to
3.5 minutes left.
Rod Nightingale's open. Rod Nightingale
broken up.
Does not come up with the catch at about the 25-yard line.
Sylvester Doc Barron, number 25.
Plus also Michael Nault was there. And
made a play on
Brashear was also in on that play. So
if that ball had been thrown a little harder, Nightingale was all alone.
Nightingale drawing triple coverage and almost coming up with the catch. So the Thunderbolts go for the home run on first down, don't come up with it. 2nd and 10. And with a 4-point deficit, maybe the Thunderbolts can think about going back to that running game and see if they can get that established again, and then maybe try the long pass afterwards.
Well, I like that call. You expect them to run, and now all of a sudden they come out and throw the ball.
And Sparks back to pass again. Has time.
Got lots of
now
time.
He gets out of the pocket, running left.
He's going to get the
40,
first down. Well,
and knocked out of bounds rather violently by Paul Riley, the weak side linebacker. Just short of a first down, but Sparks gets right up. Sparks gets right up and runs back to the huddle.
Quarterback on quarterback, number 14. Riley's actually he's a 230. He's a rather large quarterback, kind of in the Jeff Thomas mold.
And it's 1 yard short of a first down, so 3rd and 1, and maybe we'll see the running game here as Berge and Harden are the running backs. Will be the tight end.
Oh, That's be watching Berge. Berge can get you a yard with that line. Quick handoff inside.
And he does get it, but this time he's dropped for no gain. And that was Riley who came up to make the tackle, so 4th and 1. Actually, they're marking that as a 1 yard loss. So the Eagles come up with a stop defensively.
Riley sidestepped his man and snuck in the backfield there.
And
Mike Erickson.
Mike Erickson comes out with the kicking ball as it appears they're going to punt. So it'll be 4th and 2. Erickson out to kick. And despite what we thought, even though they're far away from the goal line, it's Erickson instead of Vandenacker who comes out to punt. And that always ever-present and dangerous Freeman Basinger Jr. is back for the reception at about their own 20.
Thunderbolts chewing up some clock. There's 2:20 left, and they're going to try and run the clock down as much as they can.
Nearing the NWFL 2-minute warning. Erickson gets the kickoff. It's a little short.
Kellis
all makes over the tackle on Dylan Brashear at about the 28-yard line. And we'll probably get maybe one play before the 2-minute warning. So again, the Oregon Thunderbolts simply cannot move the ball very consistently on offense, find themselves down by 4 points coming up on the 2-minute warning of the first half.
Now, how come they ran it down to the 2-minute warning after the change of possession?
Because that is the NWFL rule on the change of possession. Actually, they changed the high school rule to where they stop it on every change of possession. And a kind of a curious thing there, they run the clock down to the 2-minute warning, but the Eagles still have it with 2 minutes to go exactly at their own 28-yard line, leading 17-13 over the Oregon Thunderbolts. Franklin out of the shotgun. 4 wide receiver formation. Back to pass, passing to the left, and it's over the head of Neil O'Neill. Good coverage by Hendricks and London on the play.
Well, I thought Neil O'Neill was going to catch that ball. It was really close to him, at least from our perspective. He just kind of one-armed alligator play on that.
And surprisingly,
one-armed alligator.
And surprisingly, he actually has time to throw on that play. He actually had time to throw.
But Kellis was all over that again. He came in crashing in from the defensive end, then forced Franklin to get rid of that.
I didn't have that on.
You're sorry, all right.
1:55 remains, 2nd and 10 from their own 28. The Eagles operate, and this time out of the 3 wide receiver formation. It's Basinger, O'Neill, and Jones. Now O'Neill comes to the bottom of your screen. Franklin with it, and he's looking for Basinger. And it is dropped, or it's in and out of the hands of Basinger. Good job by Hendricks.
In and out of the hands of Jake Hendricks, too.
Good job by Hendricks to break up that play. Basinger upset himself. He thought he should have had that, even though Hendricks got a hand on it.
I think Hendricks' hands disrupted the ball just enough, but I thought Hendricks actually slowed down when that ball started coming down, like he was going to make a play on it at its highest point. But then Hendricks remembered, I'm only 5'7", and then he tried to jump up in the air and he couldn't grab it.
And the fortunate thing for the Thunderbolts on that play was Basinger was about 5 yards behind Hendricks. If that ball is better thrown, that's a very easy 6 points for the Bellingham Eagles. So the Thunderbolts will take that. Now it's 3rd and 10. And now they've got a chance with 1:49 to go to maybe get a last second score before going into the halftime. There's the delay up the middle to Hawkinson.
Nice play by number 55, Lonnie Bowden. He blew that up. I don't know if he got the tackle, but he stopped the play. And then his teammates finished him off.
And that's exactly a 1-yard gain. And I think the Thunderbolts are going to call timeout, and they will.
They should.
To stop the clock. So we'll take a timeout as well. 1:36 to go until halftime. Eagles 17, Thunderbolts 13. Eagles are forced to punt thanks to the Thunderbolt defense. 4th and 9. Andre Harris and Kenny Land are back. Downey to kick. Has a lot of time. High kick.
Time.
And it drops, and Harris fields it at the 32-yard line.
Harris
breaks
gets away.
Tackles, gets into the outside of the 50. There's a flag down, and he's brought down by number 50 at the 43-yard line.
Late hit by number
Eagles.
31.
Warren Harris makes the eventual tackle, but there's a flag way back at the Thunderbolt 34-yard line, which leads me to believe that there's some sort of blocking penalty, some sort of illegal blocking penalty on the Thunderbolts.
Castaneda kind of piled on after Harris was down. He was fully tackled, and then Castaneda gave him that little extra, I think you're even more down, shot.
Defensive coordinator Craig Jackson came all the way over to the other side of the field to tell the officials that should have been a penalty on somebody. There is a penalty flag down on the field. It's at the 34-yard line of the Thunderbolts, near the Thunderbolts side, which leads me to believe that there's some sort of penalty, and there is a illegal block penalty on the Thunderbolts. So
that was a nice return by Andre Harris.
So instead of having the ball at the Bellingham 43, instead they're going to have it inside their own 20 if that's the 15-yard variety, or pretty close to the 20 if it's the 10-yard variety. So after the 15-yard clipping penalty on the Thunderbolts, they have the ball 1st and 10 at their own 19-yard line. 1:23 to go as they try to get a late second quarter score to go into the halftime locker room with. Sparks is back to pass, looking, throws right, looking for Harris, and it's broken up by Freeman Basinger Jr.
Basinger Jr. Harris, great position. He was actually down the field farther than Andre Harris. And Harris showing his speed.
Harris threw triple coverage from Nault, Basinger, and Brashear. So apparently the Eagles know about Andre Harris.
And Harris comes out. I can't tell if he was a little, just maybe tired, winded on that play. They might be wise to try and wear out number 6. He's running both ways, playing wide receiver, playing corner. And running him deep is probably not a bad strategy either, and see how much endurance he has.
And the Eagles don't have a lot of players over on their sideline, and so getting a big lead or holding a lead might be tough for them.
This time Jordan's out on Basinger Jr.
Back to throw again on second down, looking for Will, complete. Past the 30, past the 35, almost to the 40, but called down inbounds. But it's a first down, so we'll stop the clock for that. Mark it at the 38-yard line of the Thunderbolts, 1st and 10. A fresh set of downs with 1:03 to go. But once they get everything set up, that clock is going to restart again. The Thunderbolts they used, I believe, 2 timeouts. They used one just before the PAT on their second touchdown, and then they used a second one just before this possession to save time. So now they're down to just 1 timeout left. And now the game is stopped because Eagles owner Richard Fleck is running across the field at about the Thunderbolt 2. So we want to make sure he gets off the field.
12 men on the field for the defense.
Out of the split back sec. Sparks back
Jordan's
to throw again,
open.
looking,
Now
throws
he's
short
not.
to Berge, in and out of Dathan's hand, and he takes a big hit pretty late, and no flag on the play.
Jordan was wide open. Basinger Jr. was 10 yards off him when he made his first move, but I guess Sparks didn't see him out there.
It was
Riley. He was looking for Berge all the way.
It was Riley who made, as the Thunderbolts think, the illegal hit, but it's called nothing. So 2nd down and 10 with 47 seconds remaining.
Some Bellingham officials, drag him all the way down here.
On 2nd and 10, it will be Nightingale and Harris. Will at tight end, and it'll be Berge and Simpkins behind Sparks. Out of the eye. Back to throw again. Looking. Now he has to run it. And he's just going to take it out of bounds at the 41 as he's forced out.
Basinger Jr. kind of walking around in the secondary. And Andre Harris, he actually was 15 yards deep, and Harris didn't run into his pattern. So he was just walking around taking a breather, and then Harris didn't run out on his pattern.
Middle linebacker Warren Harris with the force out. It's a gain of 2 on 2nd down, so 3rd and 8, and now 40 seconds to go.
With the depth at wide receiver the Thunderbolts have, they ought to be working on Basinger and challenge him every play and challenge his stamina for the second half in the 4th quarter.
And now they do a 4 wide receiver set with Berge, the single back. Sinkman goes out, and there's Harris wide open at the 45 to the 40, coming back, trying to find some room, and now he's going to be brought down by a whole bunch of Thunderbolt tacklers, Eagles tacklers. Clock stops for the first down, as it was Riley who comes up with the stop. It's at the Bellingham 40, and now the Thunderbolts will use their last timeout with 30 seconds to go.
Spraying each other on the way out.
So with 30 seconds to go, it's 1st and 10 for the Thunderbolts at the Eagles' 40-yard line. Sparks back to pass, looking. Now he's flushed out of the pocket, and he's almost brought down. And it was Mike Hughes who almost came up with the stop, and now we're going to get a penalty here. And I think what this is going to be, and you don't see a lot of this, but I think what this is going to be delay of game on the defense, because when Sparks was taken down, the Bellingham Eagle player would not get off of him to allow him to go play.
But then a Thunderbolt hit him in the back, and so they might call a penalty for that.
And they do. They call unsportsmanlike conduct on the Oregon Thunderbolts. So now you take the 5-yard gain from Sparks, you take that away, and it becomes a lot like a 10-yard loss, because now it's going to be 2nd and 20. 2nd and 20 from midfield. Thunderbolts very upset. They thought that should have been a penalty on the Eagles because they wouldn't let Wade Sparks up. So now from midfield,
defensive player said, I got me a quarterback down here. I'm not letting you up.
13 seconds to go now. The clock starts. Thunderbolts use their last timeout, so they need to get a first down on this play to stop the clock. And he's throwing left for Nightingale, and Nightingale, it is incomplete. He cannot come up with the ball. Thunderbolts screaming for pass interference from number 24, Jeff Phillips, or 25, Sylvester Doc Barron.
I don't think so. I didn't see any interference there. It hit him hit a defender in the back, and the defender didn't touch Nightingale.
And actually, it looked like it shielded Nightingale a little bit, but he couldn't make the catch because it did get to him, but he just couldn't come up with it. So now, with 2 seconds to go, we're one penalty-free play away from halftime.
150-yard bomb to Harris away from halftime.
And that's pretty much what the Eagles are looking for. They've got Neil O'Neill in as a deep safety.
And Calvin Simpkins lines up as the slot receiver on the far side, or the second receiver on the far side.
So Sparks back to pass, has time, throws over the middle, and it's intercepted by Riley.
Sparks going to make
45, 40, 35, taken out of bounds by Berge, and that will end the half. But an interesting first half it was, Tim. The Oregon Thunderbolts, kind of in unfamiliar territory, find themselves down 17-13 at halftime.
Well, and they weren't able to pound the ball, which is what they're accustomed to. And then they tried to pass, but the passing game hasn't scared anybody thus far. And so the Thunderbolts find themselves in a hole. And then on defense, they weren't able to stop the Bellingham Eagles after they made some costly turnovers.
And we start the second half with Ryan Vandenacker kicking off. And that one just might go out of bounds, and it will, so that'll be a penalty. And immediately, right off the bat, the Bellingham Eagles will have great field position as they'll mark that ball 25 yards from where it was kicked. And the Bellingham Eagles will have it 1st and 10. First and 10 for the Bellingham Eagles at their own 40-yard line as we begin the second half. Exactly 15 minutes to go as that kickoff went out of bounds.
We'll see if the Thunderbolt defense can step it up here. Coach David Brandon was all over him at halftime, saying you're not hitting, you're not gang tackling. There's a ball.
Hawkinson with the run, but fumbles the football, and Lonnie Bowden comes up with it at the 46-yard line of the Thunderbolts.
And there's a little second effort right there. That hand strip in there. And
the first big break of the second half goes to the Thunderbolts, and they have excellent field position. And the Thunderbolts looking a little lethargic in the first half. Paid for it a little bit by having a halftime deficit, their first one of the year.
In a halftime of verbal tongue lashing throughout halftime.
And let's see if the turnover can get them going.
We'll see if the offense wants to fire out now and move some people around on that blocking front.
It's Berge in front of Simpkins, and we have contact by the defense. That may be 5 yards against the Bellingham Eagles.
Like everybody moved. Rod Wilson moved. He snapped the ball probably to make sure that the defense was offsides. No, it's going to go against the Bolts because they moved.
So the Thunderbolts, after the big break, take a reversal of fortune here. They'll lose 5 yards, and it'll be 1st and 15. However, getting the ball back there, I think, was a good thing. Now the offense just simply needs to execute. Except for the 2 drives where they scored the touchdowns, not very effective. And there's the handoff to Simpkins, who had 104 yards rushing, but most of it in 2 carries, the 2 touchdown carries. He gets almost all the yards. Well, we'll call 3 of the 5 yards they lost on the penalty, so 2nd and 12.
And that offensive line not making its presence known today. They must outweigh that defensive line by 400 or 500 pounds. But the smaller, quicker Bellingham Eagles are just stepping out of their way, and they're stepping in the backfield. And they're also crowding the line of scrimmage, daring the Thunderbolts to throw the ball.
And Sparks fakes up the middle, swing pass back to Simpkins. Simpkins gets a little free, but only gets about 3 yards before being wrapped up.
That was a lateral, it looked like, and it almost looked like Simpkins wasn't going to reel it in. That could have been a disaster.
Middle linebacker Warren Harris on the stop, so 3rd and we'll call it 9. And again, it's up to the Thunderbolt offense to come up with a third down conversion. They haven't had many of them, if any at all. And the defense really has played pretty well, even though they have given up 17 points. Most of that due to the offense giving the ball deep in their own territory to the Bellingham Eagles. In fact, in a lot of ways, the Thunderbolts were lucky that they weren't behind by more than they were at halftime. This time it's Berge in front of Harden. Will is still the tight end. Jordan and Harris.
Fake draw play inside, but...
And throwing over the middle to Harris. Nice breakup by Sylvester Barron.
Sparks keeps the ball on the fake handoff.
But there is a flag down, and that might be
Harris.
holding against the Thunderbolts.
It looked like a little contact on that pass reception there, too. It looked like the defender might have been there a little early, but I don't think they called that.
Holding is called on the Thunderbolts, but I believe the penalty will be declined, and they'll force the Thunderbolts to kick on 4th and 9 from their own 47.
What happened there?
And so here comes the punt team, and owner/kicker Mike Erickson out with the kicking ball. And again, the Thunderbolt offense, except for the quick strike, big play, just not moving the football effectively.
Well, the penalties are killing them. They get some positive yardage, and then they're backing up on penalties, and then they have to throw the ball.
Good kick by Erickson. Basinger with the return.
Dressler
and a nice
with a big hit from behind.
Coming in from behind by Aaron Dressler to bring Basinger down at the 31-yard line.
Pushed him right into Dyson.
And that's where the Eagles will start.
He saw Dyson. He didn't see Dressler. He probably still didn't see him. He just saw some stars in the back of his head.
And the 31-yard line is where the Bellingham Eagles will start their second possession of the first half. Their first possession lasted exactly one play. It got 14 yards, but then a Hawkinson fumble gave the Thunderbolts the ball, but they are not able to capitalize on the turnover.
So now it's back on the Thunderbolt defense. Thunderbolts trail by 4.
And there's Gaston up the middle. And he's stacked up at the 45 for a 4-yard gain. And we'll have to unpile bodies to see who got in there first. There were many, many Thunderbolts, but it looked like David Walker and Lonnie Bowden were the first two in to stack up Gaston. But 4 yards on first down makes it 2nd and 6.
I can't believe Gaston's only 210. He just looks a lot bigger than that to me.
He does look quite big. We see him jogging off the field here. He 5'10".
5'10" maybe, but I don't know.
He's a big guy, and he's
230 on him.
He's been tough to tackle for the Thunderbolts today.
He always runs to the left.
And he did on that play. Out of the I
formation. They see number 5.
Stevenson in motion. First guy through. Brian Young gets big yardage, gets the first down all the way out to the 45-yard line.
That was a nice push by the offensive line of the Bellingham Eagles. They cleared the Thunderbolt defense out, made a big hole, and no one was there. In fact, if he hadn't have fallen down, he would have been still running, or at least he'd be dragging some Thunderbolts with him, because there was a huge hole there.
And we can give a lot of credit to the center, Mark Fierce, 5'11", 250 pounds, paved the way for Young to get the first down for the Eagles.
Well, that's an interesting matchup then, because he's against Deveray Simmons, number 44, who's 5'8", 242. Number 44, the nose tackle for the Thunderbolts.
Out of the eye again. This time the play action pass.
Ball fake by Franklin.
And Young does not come up with it.
Franklin's still rolling backwards on the turf after he got whammed by Gadbois.
Does he want us to call him Gadbois now?
Oh, I thought that's what you wanted because you said that earlier.
Well, no. He told me himself he wanted to be called Gad Boys. So
well,
I thought,
ain't gonna mess with the guy. I'll make sure.
That's why I asked him. I'm not gonna mess with him either. That's why I asked him. I said, "What do you want to do?"
He does hear, right, when he watches the game film. Okay.
Yes, he does.
He's played very well, I think, today. He's made some outstanding plays on the defense. At this point, I would have to say he's probably the top defender in this game for the Thunderbolt defense.
And not much on the defensive end from Nathan Berge, but then again, because he's played offense so much, he hasn't been on defense very much.
It looks like he's lining up at a linebacker.
Single back set, triple wide receivers, and Basinger may be gone.
London's
20,
got an
15,
angle.
10, but London can't get him. Touchdown, Bellingham Eagles. A 55-yard pass from Eric Franklin to Freeman Basinger Jr. extends the Eagles' lead to 23-13. Ryan Downey in to try and extend the lead to 11. Out of the hold of Troy Stevenson. There's the snap. The hold's good. The kick looks also good as well. So 10:53 to go in the third quarter, and again, more uncharted territory for the Thunderbolts as they find themselves down 24-13. Kicks off, and the Thunderbolts find themselves down as Glenn Bell takes the kickoff from the 20-yard line on the short kick. But number 42, Mike Hughes, making the stop at the 36-yard line.
Well, head rung, how would you put that?
His bell rung?
He got hammered, and the Bellingham Eagles are all about that. They are playing some football here. They're hitting, they're aggressive, they're going deep on the pass, and the Thunderbolts are just taking it. They're just taking it. Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Yes. Well, I think the Thunderbolts need to be the team with the paddle now and not the one being paddled. It's Alonzo Harden, or Bronco, the fullback in front of Simpkins as he's get the ball, runs up the middle, finds some room, and gets all the way out to the 45-yard line, but a flag comes in.
I think that's going to be a face mask. It looked like the defender grabbed a hold of his face mask on the way down, but it'll probably be the small one.
And if so, that should be enough for a first down, as he is marked 1 yard short of it. The extra 5 yards would definitely give him a first down. We'll see what the call is from Tom Ranella, our white hat today.
I think it's been a while since the Thunderbolts have got any kind of call. They were a little upset in the locker room at halftime after the incidents where Sparks was laying on the ground and the defender wouldn't get off him. And the coach said, hey, this is our game to win, not the officials. But I think if you're keeping score in the officiating, I don't think the Thunderbolts have gotten very many calls today of any sort that have helped them, either non-calls or calls against them.
But in this case, you were absolutely correct. It's the 5-yard minor face mask, so it gives the Thunderbolts a first down at the 49-yard line of the Eagles. Out of the eye again, second man through. Simpkins finds room running left, down inside the 40. And if it's not for Michael Nault taking him outside of the 33-yard line, Simpkins has his third touchdown of the day. Good job by Nault to get him out of bounds, but not before a huge gain of 16 yards and another Thunderbolt first down.
Well, it was good to see him get outside. They finally got around the corner, outside the contain, and then the defense had to try and catch him. And I think the Thunderbolts have a significant speed advantage if they can get outside, although you're not going to outrun Basinger Jr., but you might run over him.
And it seems like they've been running away from Basinger Jr. They run on the other cornerback side no matter who it is. Basinger is locked up on Andre Harris, so that's a good matchup there. It's Harden in front of Sitcoms. This time it's Harden, and he is stacked up.
Another big play by number 14, Paul Riley. He came knifing through and disrupted that play.
Hughes also got in there and helped stop. So that was nothing. In fact, that was more than nothing. That was a 1 yard loss, 2nd and 11. And I think you're right. The lethargy of the Thunderbolts plus the intensity of the Eagles has so far
evened out this game.
Well, somehow has given the Bellingham Eagles an 11-point lead, and the Thunderbolts now, finding themselves in uncharted territory this year. Some adversity to come back from, but this is, like they say, adversity builds character, and we're going to find out a lot about the Thunderbolts' character in this game. And there's the fake pass outside. What's his hand going forward? Nope, they call that a fumble. And luckily, Calvin Simpkins comes back. He was going to be the intended receiver on the short pass. He comes back as referee Tom Ranella rules that Sparks' arm was not going forward, and it was instead a fumble. Simpkins comes up with it, but that's a huge loss. And now we're looking at about 3rd and 21 yards to go. And that's what in sports you call that an ouch. That was a big ouch.
That was a ooh.
It's Jordan and Harris with the receiving core. Thunder Eye formation, and Will goes to the right. Now the split backs. It's Harden at the bottom. Simpkins on top. Sparks back to throw. Looking
now,
right
like
side to Harris.
Call there. Basinger Jr. Now he's been playing every play. He's on special teams, he's on defense, he's on offense. Well, now he's out playing corner, and to save his stamina, I guess, for the fourth quarter, he's walking around. He's about 10, 15 yards deep, and Harris lines up on the line, and there's no one there. So why not just have Harris turn around, drill him with the ball, and Basinger Jr. still is going to be 5, 10 yards away from the play.
Yeah, he gave Harris way too much room there. Of course, they could afford to. So now it's 4th and 11, a 10-yard gain, and the Thunderbolts are going to go for it from the Bellingham 34.
I'm convinced they need to work on Basinger Jr. more and tire him out. I mean, they need to keep going deep on him, and if they could take his playmaking ability away from the offense.
Sparks throwing for Nightingale, and forget that. That's going to be Sylvester Barron. He's going to take it back 70 yards for a touchdown. Touchdown, Bellingham Eagles. And how many times have you seen that play? You go away from the strong side, you throw it to the weak side, and the weak side cornerback comes up with the interception in front of the receiver and has nothing but real estate in front of him.
Well, he read the play.
Trying to tack on the extra point and extend the lead. Right now, it's 30-13, Bellingham Eagles over the Oregon Thunderbolts.
Kind of a bad snap.
Kick. There's a kick, but it gets through, and that makes the score with 8:16 remaining in the third quarter. Bellingham Eagles 31, Oregon Thunderbolts 13. Downey set to kick off again as the Bellingham Eagles on the 70-yard interception return by Sylvester Barron have taken a 31-13 lead. Kenny Land finally comes up with it at the 25, but he's going the wrong way, and he'll actually lose a couple of yards, and that's where the Thunderbolts will start at their own 23-yard line. Now find themselves down by 18 points. 8:11 remaining in the third quarter, and the Thunderbolts sinking in even to a deeper hole than they have been. The offense now needs to come up with some points, or at least a sustaining drive. There's Simpkins, but he gets next to nothing. Trying the right side of the line. And Warren Harris, the middle linebacker, in with a stop on Simpkins after a 1-yard gain, 2nd and 9.
That was a very effective kickoff by Bellingham. I didn't think it was going to go very deep, and it really didn't. But it hit the ground, and then the up man left it alone for Land to handle. Both of them should have tried to just secure the ball there, and then Land ended up getting it, and by then the coverage was down. So they got a great net field position out of that. It was actually kind of a bad kick.
On 2nd and 9, again to Simpkins, who cuts back and comes over to the right, finds some room to roam, gets past the 40, and if it wasn't for Freeman Basinger Jr., he gets even more yardage than he did, but as it is, up to the 47-yard line and a first down for the Oregon Thunderbolts.
Well, Andre Harris was blocking Basinger out of the play. Basinger, by the way, limping a little bit. But that was a great play by Andre Harris because he pushed all the defense back another 5 yards for Simpkins.
It's spotted on the 48, so that's where they'll start, 1st and 10. And again, Thunderbolts need to take these plays and multiply them into more good plays and get some points on the board.
And eliminate the bad plays. Way too many turnovers for the Thunderbolts today.
Harden, the first man through, finding some room. And it's Mr. Harris again, the middle linebacker, making the stop after a 3-yard gain by Harden, who was the fullback on that play. And we've seen a lot of experimentation in the Thunderbolt backfield. We've seen Berge at fullback. We've seen Harden. About the only consistency we've seen is that Simpkins is definitely the starting running back. And this time again, it's Harden in front of Simpkins. Nightingale at the top of the screen. Harris at the bottom. Will the tight end. And now Ryan Ivanoff is in the game for the Thunderbolts at quarterback as he hands off to Simpkins. Lots of room on the left side. Gets yardage well enough for a first down to the 38-yard line of the Bellingham Eagles. And I don't know how they slipped that in there, but they got Ryan Ivanoff in there, now playing quarterback for the Thunderbolts.
Well, so far, I think number 11, Calvin Simpkins, has been the MVP on this offense. He has, of course, 100 yards, which he got on 2 plays, but he seems to have a little fire burning. When he gets his yards, he stands up, he employs the crowd a little bit, and he's trying to light a fire under that big line and maybe help drive the Thunderbolts down the field and get a score here.
Out of the eye. Ivanoff back to pass, looking, pressure comes up the middle, he throws up the middle, and it's broken up on a very nice play by Dylan Brashear. If Brashear doesn't come up with that one, that looks like a touchdown or at least a catch inside the 10 for Andre Harris. Harris actually beat Basinger Jr. on that play, but thanks to the help, it turns out to be an incompletion.
Well, that's good. Keep pounding on Basinger Jr. And also kudos for the 2 running backs. That was Alonzo Harden in there, both keeping the pressure off of the quarterback so he could get that ball out of there.
And now we got Mr. Bell in there. He's the half case. He's in at fullback. It's given to Simpkins up the middle, and another nice play by Warren Harris, or a lot more yards for Simpkins. He got 4 as it was. But again, Harris making the plays. He's the defensive captain. He's the guy getting all the defensive signals from the sideline from defensive coordinator Craig Jackson. He was the guy in the first half who came almost all the way over to the Thunderbolts sideline saying, hey, that was a penalty, and had to be escorted back to his sideline. And the officials were very polite and did not penalize him on that play.
Well,
something the officials don't want to do.
I understand now why they like to use Bell at fullback. He is quite a good blocker. He got underneath his man that time. And
Ivanoff back to pass, throwing for Nightingale, caught at the 25, gets away.
Block with
20, 15, Basinger to beat 10, and Basinger stops him at the 2.
Nice play by Nightingale.
And a good job to get the ball to Rod Nightingale. Good hands and a good catch, and now the Thunderbolts are knocking at the door themselves.
That's the first time we've seen Rod Nightingale really have some open field to work with this year and have a chance to make a move and make a play.
And he got away from Sylvester Barron on that play, so he gets a little measure of revenge after Barron had the 70-yard interception return for a touchdown that gave him the 31-13 lead that the Eagles have right now. So now first and goal, they actually spotted at the 1 yard line. So first and goal from the 1.
It's now you miss Casey Gallagher.
Now it's going to be Harden and Simpkins.
Casey Gallagher go in there and get that yard for you, but he's hurt this week. Probably be out a couple more weeks with the knee injury he sustained last week.
Ivanoff goes right in for the touchdown, right behind Rod Wilson, the center, and that's a touchdown for the Thunderbolts.
So the Thunderbolts erased the interception mistake points, and now they still have a couple more touchdowns to get if they want to get back in this game, but you got to just do it 1 touchdown at a time, and that's what they're doing. Ivanoff seems to have added a little spark, a little fire and intensity, maybe a little more, I don't know, accuracy, but maybe a little better decision making. Sparks having some interception problems in the first half and in the early third quarter.
And this is no surprise to me. The Thunderbolts are going to go for 2 because if they make it, they'll only be down by 10 points, 31-21. So no surprise
that will make
whatsoever.
Up for their attempt for 2 that failed earlier.
And it'll be Berge in front of Simpkins from the 3 yard line. That's where we do extra points here in the Northwest Football League.
Simpkins, 13 carries, 170 yards.
Ivanoff, and he's hit as he throws the ball. That's incomplete, and that's too bad because it looked like Nathan Berge was alone in the end zone, or at least open enough for Ivanoff to get the 2 points. So that's too bad. But the Thunderbolts do answer the 70-yard touchdown interception touchdown return with a touchdown of their own, but failed to convert, and now it's 31-19 with 4:12 to go in the third quarter. Ryan Vandenacker lines up the kick, and we have a flag. In high school football, if you're offsides, that's a dead ball penalty, and I think Ryan Vandenacker is going to end up kicking off from the 30-yard line instead of the 35. It's going to be Mike Erickson who kicks off from the 30-yard line, as the Thunderbolts were offsides on that kickoff. Gets into it and shanks it out of bounds. And so they'll end up with the ball. The Bellingham Eagles will at their own 45-yard line after the kicking out of bounds penalty.
Played for Edmonton.
Pretty agile being so tall and being so
6'2", yeah.
college, so he's so slight.
Well, I saw him down there going to return that kick, and then I saw Basinger go down there. I thought maybe they're going to save Basinger a little bit. Every play.
1st and 10, Bellingham from their own 45-yard line after the kickoff out of bounds by Erickson. 4:12 to go, third quarter. Bellingham Eagles 31, Oregon Thunderbolts not as many. Something we haven't seen a lot of this year. Now it's Land locked up with Basinger. And it's Hendricks locked up with Jeff Phillips. Stevenson in motion. Looks like the Thunderbolts were offsides on that play. The give is to Downey inside of the 45. And the flag is down, and it looked like it was thrown to the Thunderbolt side of the field. I alluded to that earlier this season, where sometimes the official will throw the flag on the side of the team that he's throwing the flag on, especially these line penalties, and that's exactly what it's going to be, offsides Thunderbolts.
Well, Berge and Kellis were trying to switch, and they were trying to get their signal straight. They ended up switching sides of the formation, and then Kellis went around the other side, and he jumped the snap before the ball was snapped. The defense trying to make their adjustments, but they need to settle down and watch the ball.
And now the defense with the task to try and stop the bleeding, stop the Bellingham Eagles from scoring, because the offense now finally has got a little momentum and some scoring, but you can't trade touchdowns with them right now, especially when you're down by 12 points. And out of the shotgun, here comes Phillips in motion. Now he comes back, and there's the give to Carlos Gaston. Gets running outside, right, and a good saving tackle by Hendricks. Or Gaston goes many more yards, but it's right inside the 45 to the Thunderbolt 44, and that's a first down.
Well, they probably didn't expect him running to that side. They saw number 5, and they go, oh, he's going to run to the left. But no, that was actually a pretty good run, and he showed his strength getting out of the backfield and also some quickness.
And a good tackle by Hendricks stops that from being a bigger play. There was a lot of room in front of Gaston on that play. But again, they run the delay out of that split-back shotgun set. And that's where they are. Now, in the more conventional eye, it's Young in front of... There's to go Stevenson in motion. And the give is to Young. Flag down. Now this one looks like it's on the side of Bellingham, so we'll see if that's perhaps a motion or a lineup offsides penalty.
Nice tackle by Anthony Davis. He just stepped right in and grabbed the ball carrier.
1st and 5 as the penalty was offsides against the Thunderbolts. The injured player was left tackle Vernell Quinn. He comes off almost on his own power with a little bit of help, so he'll probably be back after one play. There's a give to the second man through, and he is stacked up nicely.
The first man through was Calvin Armstead, and he said the second man through ain't getting through.
And that was Castaneda, the second man through, to get maybe a yard. We'll call it a yard gain. 2nd and 4. And again, it's going to be up to the Thunderbolt defense to stop the bleeding, but also it's going to be the Thunderbolt offense not to make more plays that allow points for the Eagles without their offense being on the field. It's a great thing when you can get points from your defense, but a lot of defensive coordinators think of that as a bonus. They don't usually depend on that. as a way of winning ball games. All you want your defense to do is to stop them from scoring and get your offense in a good position to do things. And out of the eye, it's Young in front of Castaneda. Franklin to
Thunderbolts
throw.
come on a blitz.
Throwing short, and there's London, who's all over Stevenson. Now we've got 2 flags on the play as back judge Billy Frazier took both of his flags and threw them up. Not just 1 flag, but 2 flags.
I didn't even know they had 2 flags. I saw a little contact there, but I don't know. It looked like he was reaching for the ball.
Well, they do have the catchable ball provision. That's part of the pass interference rules in this league. But apparently, whatever the flag was, it's against the Thunderbolts because they're walking off yardage. And I didn't see what the actual signal was, but it's a big penalty. It's a 15-yarder. So again, 1st and 10 now.
It's pass interference.
And that didn't look like it was a catchable ball. It looked like he overthrew Stevenson by a mile. But the call is pass interference, so 1st down at the 23-yard line.
It looked like the other official on the sideline was going to let it go. Like, no, this isn't a foul.
And there's the play, and that is absolutely nothing.
Good play by the defense. Number 55, Bowden, got in the backfield and disrupted the play, and then the runner ran into the next guy through.
And it was Hawkinson who gets the 2-yard correction, the 3-yard loss, thanks to the tackle by Bowden, so 2nd and 13. And again, we have ourselves a game here, Tim. I mean, this is not something we're used to seeing this season. I mean, that Pierce County game was close.
Pierce County game was a game, if you like, no points in regulation.
And everything in the Kansas plan overtimes. But again, we're getting a little look into the Thunderbolts' character because they haven't been tested this much so far this year.
Bellingham leads 31-19. Thunderbolts trying to keep them at that score.
Franklin on the reverse to Basinger, and if Berge can get him, he cannot. But there's Land, and they think that Basinger might have got back to the line of scrimmage, maybe even lost a yard. But Nathan Berge had a chance to drop Basinger for about a 15-yard loss and just couldn't come up with him. We know that Berge's a Studley, but
he's not. Yeah, he's not going to be Darryl Green out there trying to run down a wide receiver cornerback in the backfield with 90 yards to roam around.
And as
he did prevent him and made him go around him, and then the pursuit got by there.
And as it was, the Thunderbolts managed to do a good job enough to have it be a 3-yard loss. So now it's 3rd and 16 from the 29-yard line of the Thunderbolts. Again, the Thunderbolts behind 31-19. 56 seconds to go for our 3rd quarter. And now a trips formation to the bottom of the screen. Franklin back to pass. Here comes Gadbois, but he gets away, or Gadboys, and that's caught. That's caught for a touchdown. And there's a flag down. Kirk Jones stopped like something was happening, and then he just walked into the end zone. And side judge Brett Young threw his flag after Jones went into the end zone, so I'm not sure what that's all about. We'll find out from referee Tom Ranella what that is. He says touchdown.
Kirk Jones.
And then they're going to call unsportsmanlike conduct for a celebration type of thing because he stopped at the 1-yard line. He just simply stopped, and then he walked into the end zone. So they're going to call that an excessive celebration penalty against them. And depending on which interpretation they use, they'll either kick this or try this extra point from the 18-yard line, or they'll kick the kickoff from 15 yards further back. It'll be the extra point. And actually, this will be good practice for Ryan Downey to see if maybe, if needed, if he needs to try a field goal from this distance, he can try it. But if the touchdown stands, and it's now 37-19 Bellingham.
I wonder if Kirk Jones was cut from the Edmonton Eskimos for excessive celebration. No.
And out of the snap of Fierce and the hold of Stevenson, Downey's going to try a 35-yard extra point, and it's blocked by the Thunderbolts.
Dressler.
Now, there's no need for this to happen. This is in NWFL. Once you block an extra point, the ball's dead. So, no good is the extra point. 37-19, Bellingham leads it.
Dressler's been getting through that line on a regular basis, but just not in time. That time the ball was kicked lower towards the...
And I almost get tired of saying this name, but Ryan Downey to kick off yet again. This time it's going to be Andre Harris who takes it at the 11. He's going to try to go up the middle.
Which is probly bad for
Bellingham. And now coming our way to the bottom of your screen, finding some room, still's got room, and gets past the 40-yard line.
Gad boys with the crush.
Simon Longmore on the stop.
Got excited after that hit. That guy got hammered.
Simon Longmore on the stop for the Eagles. And they respond to the Thunderbolt offensive touchdown on their last play, but the Thunderbolts have it at their own 40-yard line.
I think that was Aaron Driscoll with the big shot. Gad boy's having a heck of a game. We've called his name a lot on defense and on special teams. But it's not enough. The Thunderbolts keep giving up touchdowns, giving up big plays, and the offense can't keep up.
Ivanov gives to Simpkins, and Simpkins breaks a couple of tackles, but loses a yard on the play, so 2nd and 11 already off the bat. As we near the end of the third quarter, Thunderbolts coming to sense of urgency time here. And I think that will be the last play of the third quarter as everybody's walking down to the other end, and it will be. So at the end of 3 quarters, kind of a surprise here at Harefield and Hillsboro. It's the Bellingham Eagles 37, the Oregon Thunderbolts 19. We start the fourth quarter with the Oregon Thunderbolts with the ball, 2nd and 11 from their own 39-yard line, and also trailing 37-19. Ivanov to throw.
Or not.
Hit. And it's complete to Calvin Simpkins. It looked like Justin Wachnick also touched the ball, but no flag on the play and no gain on the play. In fact, that's going to go as a 1-yard loss. A pass completion and a 1-yard loss to Calvin Simpkins.
Wachnick wanted that ball. He wanted to catch that ball. Simpkins took it away from him. He goes, wait, I never get the ball over here.
Well, that would have been a penalty if Wachnick did catch the ball, so it's a good thing he let that go. Well, actually, it should be a penalty
if he touched the ball, and I think he did. He might have even touched it first. But the referee was being kind and called it a completion to Simpkins.
So 3rd and 12. The Thunderbolts definitely going the wrong way here. It's going to be Harris and Nightingale.
I think they're picking the wrong way to try and thrill the crowd. They ought to be trying to get some points instead of the circus act.
Ivanov to pass again, under pressure, throws, and just past Andre Harris, who had a step on Basinger Jr. And so, the chorus line possession, 1-2-3 kick, not what the Thunderbolts needed to start it off the fourth quarter, down by 18 points.
Is that from Radio City Music Hall, the 1-2-3 kick, or...
That's just a chorus line possession, 1-2-3 kick. Usually we call it 3 and out, but I call it 1-2-3 kick. Now you might be wondering.
Erickson back in to punt again.
You might be wondering how the Bellingham Eagles got here with their 3-1 league record. Week 1 they beat the Pierce County Bengals 14-7 as Erickson's back to kick and he gets it off, and it's not a bad kick, but Basinger takes it at his own 26. Gets to the 35,
Tillery
finds some room.
To chase him down.
Oh boy, and this may go for a while. 45, 50, finally forced out of bounds.
No flag down, but Thomas Tillery, number 2, had an angle on him down here and turned around to get him, and one of the Bellingham Eagles hit him right in the back, although he may have been out of control when he hit him.
Jamin Dyson also took a huge block, and it was DeVray Simmons who saved an even bigger return. And so now things are not going the way of the Thunderbolts, and again we're getting a look at their character, how they come back from adversity. Their work's cut out for them. They're down by 18 points, and they have 13:48 in which to do it. And it being coming back from that deficit.
Well, they came out after halftime and stripped the ball, but after that, and then the offense got a touchdown, but after that they seem to be back in lethargic mode. They're just standing around. They're not attacking on defense. They're not attacking on offense, and they're making critical mistakes. That last possession, they didn't have enough time for Sparks to throw the ball, or Harris might have actually made a big play there.
Franklin throws short, and that's Jeff Phillips, who's forced out of bounds at the 36-yard line of the Thunderbolts, but that's yardage good enough for a first down.
And Carl McCray, the linebacker, tried running over Hendricks to make the tackle, and between the two of them, neither one of them could get to the ball carrier.
In
I think
week 2,
McCray ought to kind of back off and let Hendricks make the tackle out there in the corner.
In week 2, the Eagles traveled to the Washington Cavaliers and won 34-12, which has been the biggest victory so far to date this year for the Eagles. Then they went to the Eastside Chiefs and won a game 17-14 before losing in week 4 to the Puget Sound Jets at home 27-6. And then last week the Eagles played a non-counting game at the West Sound Orcas and won 25-15. Now, 1st and 10 from the Thunderbolt 36 as Franklin's passing again. There's Gadboys, almost gets him, but he gets away. Throwing long for Neil O'Neill. Through the hands of Hendricks, through the hands of O'Neill. How did that happen, Tim?
Well, there's a flag down too. It looked like he was gonna get caught by Gadboys. Big pressure from Berge as well.
And this is going to be a big penalty.
And then I think when Hendricks got his hands on the ball, it disrupted the pattern of the ball enough that O'Neill didn't reel it in.
And it all doesn't matter because they're going to call Lonnie Bowden for roughing the passer. So that's going to cost him 15 big yards, an automatic first down. And that's too bad. That could have been a touchdown reception. That could have been an interception. But it turns out to be a big penalty. It couldn't have been an
interception. Not if there's a penalty. It would have all been back away from their huddle to get up the line of scrimmage. I like their enthusiasm and their intensity today.
Stevenson in motion, Franklin to throw. Basinger, touchdown. Beat Kenny Land on the play. 21-yard pass from Eric Franklin to Freeman Basinger Jr., and it's 43-19.
Well, at least they scored quickly. That gives Thunderbolts extra time to try and come back. Thunderbolts need 3 touchdowns and a field goal, or something like that.
I'm sorry to be right, but guess what I am?
You should have seen this coach last week for the Jaguars. We had this coach for the Jaguars up in the booth, and he was listening to us for the show. So.
Yeah.
This guy was a moron. Anyway, Downey in for the extra point.
Blocked.
And that is blocked. It's blocked by the Thunderbolts, so no further damage.
All of the Thunderbolts blocked that one, I think.
But 13:31 to go, and it's 43-19 Bellingham.
Jaguars, have we played Jaguars? Is that our first game?
I don't think they've played them yet. What are they? The King County Jaguars?
Downey to kick off, and it looks like it's going to be Bell. No, yes, it will be Bell from the 15. It's going to test the left side this time to the 30. And he can't get away from Frank Castaneda, who's having a good game. We've called his name on offense a few times, and he comes up with the special teams tackle on that one. So now the Thunderbolts really have their backs to the wall. They're down by 24 points. They have a lot of time, but economy on plays and on drives, and scoring drives especially, is going to be important here. And then some defense. They cannot afford to give up any more points. Absolutely not. It'll be Harrison Nightingale. And Harden, the fullback, in front of Simpkins. And now Sparks is back in at quarterback, and he throws behind Nightingale, and it was almost intercepted by Jeff Phillips. Threw it a little bit early, or Nightingale turned too late, one way or the other, but somehow they just didn't make the connection there.
Well, Phillips was watching the ball there, and he almost made the play on it. Nightingale was ready to make a plant or a cut, not catch the ball.
Now, what's on tap for the Bellingham Eagles next week? They host a game with the Vancouver or Columbia Cougars, and then they host a game. Then they host a game with the Oregon Panthers before having a bye on the 29th. The Thunderbolts will host the Washington Cavaliers next week right here at Hare Field. Sparks back to pass. Rush now gets away, and he's going to run with it. 40, 45, 50. Still gets away and is finally tackled by Paul Riley, the weak side linebacker. Otherwise, Sparks takes that all the way for a touchdown. He just eluded tacklers almost like a running back on that play.
Well, he got a little block and a little help downfield from Andre Harris. Andre Harris screening with his body. He couldn't clip the guy, so he just stepped in front of him, and then he turned around and hit another guy and gave Sparks about, good 10 yards after that.
And by the way, Tim, in case we haven't been paying attention, and we haven't, Freeman Basinger Jr. has 3 touchdown catches. That's also how many touchdown throws Eric Franklin has. Hit as he throws and broken up by Riley. Morgan Will was behind everybody, but because he was hit when he threw, Sparks couldn't get it to Morgan Will for a possible touchdown. Clock stoppages are also going to be big. If a play doesn't work, the clock needs to stop in order for the Thunderbolts to have any chance of winning this game.
Or tying this game.
Being down by 24 points. Those missed extra points, the blocked ones or whatever, may come back to bite them. That would be the Eagles. Having good special teams, as we've seen all year long, is a really good deal. You have to have good special teams.
Well, Thunderbolts missing Jeff Wood today.
And there's the pitch to Simpkins, who will run right. And the Eagles do a good job of snuffing out that play as number 93, Kevin Moser, who played for the Surrey Rams. I guess that's Surrey, BC. He comes up with the tackle.
Well, the defense
no gain on the
swarmed on that. They actually had some blocking at the point of attack. But when he got around the corner, there was 5 more white shirts there. And that swarming defense, that enthusiasm, once again pays off for the Bellingham defense.
And as we've alluded to all year long, that's not really the advantage that the Thunderbolts have. The advantage the Thunderbolts have is running in between the tackles. And just going outside, usually the opponents, whoever they were, had enough speed to string out plays like that. That was the perfect illustration of that all year long. So we'll see if the play change calls. It's a split back set, which probably means a pass here. Sparks looks, gives the signal to Harris. Back, he's looking for Harris for the corner of the end zone, and just too far for Andre Harris, who was working on Sylvester Barron, but threw it just a little too far.
He had time to throw it. It's just slight inaccurate. It was just like 2 feet off his fingertips.
And the other bad part about that is now that brings up 4th and 9 from the 32. And obviously just about everything is 4-down territory for the Thunderbolts, being this late in the game and being this far behind. They pretty much have no choice.
Where's the short passing game tonight? I've seen them throw deep. Just about every pass play has been deep. They have tried to throw it to Will maybe twice, and they almost got him. And it's been there. It's been wide open. And here would be a good time to try and find the tight end, but he stays back to block.
But instead he'll throw left for Harris, and that's broken up by Doc Barron. And so a turnover on downs for the Thunderbolts will give the Eagles the ball back at their own 32. Options set. Three running backs, and that's Hawkinson going to the left, but he'll lose a couple of yards.
I think the Eagles are more concerned about the clock right now than the yardage. I think they're content to take their lumps and run some clock here. They have a big lead, and I can't blame them.
No, and we saw the Thunderbolts do this themselves a couple of times, actually. The King County game and the Panther game especially. But again, the Bellingham Eagles came out. They came out motivated. They hit harder. They've done the job, and they have the results to show for it. They lead. This time out of the eye. And there's the give to Castaneda. Castaneda, who gets 5 yards, and it'll be 3rd and 8. Correction, 3rd and 7. 10.5 minutes to go, but it almost looks like if the Thunderbolts had 100 minutes, the way things were going today, that wouldn't be enough time for them to come back.
Then they'd get farther behind.
And that could very well be, too.
the Bellingham Eagles looking like they're not going to try and pile on the score, but I think 10 minutes, like you said, is not enough time for the Thunderbolts to come back, and Bellingham knows that, so they're calling some very conservative plays and running the ball. Although here they got four wide receivers, but they might run the draw now.
To Carlos Gaston, who's the single back in the backfield.
Haven't seen Franklin outrunning much this time.
And you're right, it is the delay to Gaston, and he has lots of room.
And
finally, Simmons gets him at the 45, but that's good enough for a first down. And you have to hand it to the Bellingham Eagles. They did what they needed to do to win this ball game. I mean, it's not over yet, but it doesn't look good right now for the Thunderbolts. I mean, they just came out and they took it to the Thunderbolts. And the Thunderbolts' lethargy didn't help either. You got to come out ready to play, even after a week off. And it looks like that the Thunderbolts will be taken from the ranks of the undefeated, which would leave only the Jets and the Cougars, should they win their games today, as being the only undefeated teams left in the Northwest Football League. And there's a give to Young, who loses the football. It's loose, but Stevenson, a good heads-up play to come up with the fumble. Young just lost control of the ball, something after the exchange. The exchange looked good, but somehow he tried to run without it, and good play by Stevenson.
Deveray Simmons coming off hurt. And when things are going your way, they're going your way, I guess.
Simmons has to be helped off the field. It looked like either a knee or a leg injury. Second down and 9. 8:47 to go. 43-19. Bellingham Eagles over the Oregon Thunderbolts. Franklin to throw. He's pressured, throws it up, and it's intercepted by Hendricks. Hendricks gets away from O'Neal. 30, he has lots of room to run. 40, 45, looking for more room, and then finally falls down at just about midfield. And now we got extracurricular activity. Flags down. Thunderbolts come up with the interception, and we'll sort all the flag stuff out.
Hendricks has been so close to intercepting passes tonight. It's good to see him get one. He's had his hands on about 4 or 5 different balls, and every time he's broken up the play, but he hasn't ever caught the interception.
And the other thing that happened on that play was Eric Franklin got some major league pressure from somebody, and he had to get rid of that ball very, very quickly. And because of that, Hendricks was actually beaten quite handily on that play, but because the pass was rushed, it was thrown right to him. I mean, O'Neal couldn't wrap him up, and then that's why the big return.
It looked like the Bellingham Eagles were trying to lull the defense to sleep. They were running all these conservative up-the-middle plays, running outside, converting first downs, and then all of a sudden they pull this deep pass, and I don't think the Thunderbolts were expecting it, although they did react well to it, but it didn't seem to fit with the kind of strategy that Bellingham was showing at the time.
And a triple shot of bad news for the Bellingham Eagles. Not only is their pass intercepted, that's 1, but 2, they were called for holding on the play, and 3, after the interception, they're called for unsportsmanlike conduct. Well, apparently the unsportsmanlike conducts have went both ways. So a double shot of bad news, but they lose the ball. The Thunderbolts have it back just outside the 49 of the Bellingham Eagles. And, Tim, they've got to do something on this possession.
They have to. I mean, this is their season. They really need to show that they can do what they can do. Even if they don't win this game, it's time to put some points on the board and assert themselves, to play as a unit against a good, solid team. In fact, this team should be tired because the Bellingham Eagles, I think they only have about 30 players tonight, and any number of them have been playing on offense, on special teams, and the Thunderbolts have at least 40, 50 players. They should be tired. But
Sparks
it's the team that looks tired is the Thunderbolts.
Hits Nightingale, gets about 7 yards on first down, but the clock will continue to run.
And the Thunderbolts didn't drive 7 hours from the Canadian border to be here. They drove from Portland, which is quite a drive from Hillsborough, but nevertheless.
Doc Barron with the stop. Doc, one of the many defensive players from the Eagles, having a good game. A 70-yard interception return would attest to that. Second down, we'll call that a 6-yard gain. It's going to be Bronco Harden and Simpkins in the backfield.
Simpkins has played well, though. That's a bright spot for this offense.
Throwing to Nightingale again. He makes the catch, but goes the wrong way, backwards, but they call it forward progress to the 35, and that'll be a Thunderbolt first down. And now they have to go to the hurry-up offense. Now, to elaborate on your point here, this hurry-up offense is only going to make the Eagles more tired on defense, but they may have enough points or be enough points ahead to withstand this. That throws to Harris, but it's wide of him, and it's tipped to number 78, Justin Wachnick.
He was wanting that pass earlier. Now he got one.
And apparently, that nothing wrong with that, nothing illegal. That is a reception for Justin Wachnick.
The right tackle.
And let's see where the ball is marked. We have one official who's marking the ball one place and another one who's trying to mark it somewhere else. Wachnick got to the 30-yard line, so that's a 5-yard gain. Good heads-up play by Wachnick to come up with that ball, although it was still in the air. So 2nd and 5. Now Sparks looking, runs out of time, and now he runs. Down inside to just about the 20 before he's stopped by Paul Riley, the weak side linebacker, but that's good enough for yet another Thunderbolt first down. And again, Thunderbolts going with the hurry-up. Absolutely necessary right now when you're down 24 points.
Well, I'm surprised we didn't see it earlier. And you have this team playing both ways, these guys playing both ways. It could have been a very effective tool.
There's Will over on the left side, gets inside the 20 to the 10, and knocked out of bounds at about the 2.
He reached over the pylon. He almost got the call there, but he tried to reach the ball over the pylon. But the official right there said, no, you were out of bounds, and he landed out of bounds, so they're going to mark it at the 3.
Dylan Brashear was the guy who saved the touchdown. So it'll be 1st and goal from the Bellingham 3, 6:38 to go. Now let's think ahead just a little bit here, Tim. If the Thunderbolts score, being down by 24 points, do you go for 2 to get 8, hoping you can get the ball back twice more and get 8 more points both times, rather than have to get 3 touchdowns and a field goal?
I don't think the Thunderbolts have anything to lose, so at this point I would do that.
And Harden had the ball first, and he gets stopped, but then he handed the ball off to Simpkins, who ended up getting the ball to about the 1.
Closer.
Heads-up play by Harden and Simpkins.
Well, we can say that as long as they don't fumble and give the ball to Bellingham on the 1.
Absolutely the truth. 2nd and goal from the 1.
Great play.
That's a great play. That's like in basketball where, the guy shoots a three-pointer. No, and then it goes in. Oh, great shot. And there's Sparks trying to go in behind the center of the Thunderbolt line. Let's see where it's marked.
It's a touchdown, but I don't see anyone else signaling at that. And Rod Nightingale
and Ness, they do finally signal the touchdown. It's 6 points for the Thunderbolts. Sparks going in behind that big offensive line. The Eagles' defensive line looked like they did a good job of holding them up on that one.
Who carried that one in? Was it
It was Sparks.
Quarterback?
Yeah, the Sparks took it in himself.
The Sparks providing a spark here late in the game, but it may be what they really need is a bonfire. And it might be a little late.
Or maybe what they need is the Chicago Fire. But they are going for 2 as we thought. That way they only need 2 scores, but they have to make this. Sparks is going to pass, and he gets away. But he doesn't get away from the second guy. He got away from Mark Urban, but he didn't get away from Luke Holstein. So with that development, that leaves the difference at 43 to 25, or 18 points. And now forces the Thunderbolts to make 3 scores instead of 2. And everybody in the house knows what's going on here. As you can see in the front line of the Bellingham Eagles, a lot of guys who are used to touching the football are up there. So here comes the onside kick, and it looks like they're going to come to the near sideline, the Thunderbolt sideline. It's Erickson out there. And safe to say this is pretty darn important. And there it is, and the Thunderbolts are offsides. Thunderbolts are offsides. Now they'll kick it off from the 30 instead of the 35.
Mike will have to do one of those. When you kick the top of the ball, don't you? Once you kick the top of the ball, so we'll do that. Roll.
In another life, he did that.
All right, offense or onside kick number 2 attempt. Let's see if the Thunderbolts can stay onsides this time. And this time they try a little pooch kick. It gets over the heads of the receivers, and now it's inside the 5 where Basinger takes it. And now he's just going to play around with it. And now he finds some room on the left sideline. There are flags down, and he finally steps out of bounds somewhere around the 47-yard line, but there are many flags down, so that return will come back.
You saw the raw athleticism, and this is the fourth quarter. This man's played every play on offense, on defense, at corner. He's playing pass routes. This guy's running 20 yards, 30 yards every play, and then he still comes.
So the Bellingham Eagles have the ball at their own 18-yard line. There's 6:03 to go, and they lead 43-25. And the penalty was an illegal block. Takes it all the way back to the 18. There's the give to Castaneda, and he gets maybe a yard up to the 19. 2nd and 9, but again, time rolls off the clock, and the clock is the enemy of the Thunderbolts and the very, very good friend of the Bellingham Eagles right now.
Well, the Bellingham Eagles, they want to get this game over with and get home. They have a long drive.
Well, they're all staying overnight.
No.
Tim, I don't want to be caught in your court. Okay?
2nd and 9. Downey and Gaston lined up in the I formation behind Franklin. The sun starts to peek out. I thought this would be a problem earlier. There's a reverse to Basinger, and he's got a lot of room.
And a blocker, a very large blocker.
And he gets down to the 39-yard line. That's more than enough for a first down.
I think this is the Basinger quarter.
This has been
9 quarters, or 8 quarters.
This is the Basinger game. 3 touchdown catches. Good job on cornerback, on defense. The guy's definitely a stud. First and 10 Eagles from their 39. And there's the give to Hawkinson, who runs the left side and finds lots of room. Gets to midfield, and that'll be good enough for another Eagle first down. And like the Thunderbolt momentum, the sunshine was also short-lived.
They have momentum now. They have momentum in reverse with their backs moving towards their own goal post.
Now we noticed, Tim, that in that Panthers game, the Thunderbolts led 14-0 at halftime, but it should have been what? They should have been up by more than that at halftime. And then we noticed in the King County game that they could have scored more than 48 points. Now, today, their lethargy caught up with them. Now let's hope that this is a wake-up call and that next week they'll come out firing.
Well, next week's opponent, I don't know, we'll have to see. We haven't seen that team. I don't think they were in business last year. The Washington Cavaliers, right?
The Cavaliers, the old Cavaliers posse. Franklin running around, gets away, but he's not going to get away from Greg Gadboys. Huge loss, a 10-yard loss, as Franklin was just running for his life back there. But again,
you guys, when you
again, time clicking off the clock. Now 3:15 to go.
We gave them their first points in 11 games. We gave them a safety.
They were so happy. They were jumping up and down in the stands. He scored. He scored.
He was scared of my first game.
Downey and Gaston in the eye behind Franklin. Basinger and Phillips. Receiver. Stevenson goes in motion away from the near sideline. The give to Downey. Downey getting 2 tough yards up to the 40, about the 42.
2 tough yards, but running off like 30 big seconds.
And the Thunderbolts will burn one of their 3 second half timeouts. 18 for the Eagles.
How about the Portland Panthers? Just the
Wishbone formation again. And there's the play action pass, and Franklin is going to be sacked for a huge,
big face mask.
Huge loss.
Looked like he threw looked like Franklin got his face mask grabbed twice on that. But
James Hilliard with a huge loss on that play. Let's see where they mark that. It looks like they're going to mark it at the 23-yard line. That's a 19-yard loss, but the clock runs. That's the whole point of all this, is to get the clock to run. And now I believe we're going to hit the 2-minute warning before any other plays go off. 4th and forever. And that is the 2-minute warning. Fourth and literally forever. 38 yards, I think, would be the official thing, but we have a stoppage in play. And is that going to be
good on the defensive stat sheet? I guess the offensive stat sheet looks decent. I guess we have 270 yards of rushing tonight to go with only 130 yards passing. But the yards weren't effective, and neither was the defense, because there's too many points on the board.
And there's Downey with the punt that goes out of bounds, and it's marked at the 46-yard line of Bellingham. That didn't even make it back to the original line of scrimmage on that set of downs, about 4 yards short of that. Oregon Thunderbolts in a precarious position, down by 18 points and not a lot of time to get them back. Simpkins, a lot of room to run up the middle, looking for more room, and he gets free.
That's 25-20,
15-10-5, touchdown Thunderbolts.
Huge touchdown number 3 for Simpkins. This one will be 46 yards. And now the Thunderbolts have 300 yards rushing, and they're going to get their...
And Simpkins has about 150, but all of them pretty much in 3 touchdown runs.
Although now they are down 12, so they would need 2 scores. If they could convert 2 here, they could get by it, tie it with a touchdown and a field goal. That gives them a prayer. 1 in 100 prayer, but they have a chance. Like the coach said, the game's not over.
Tell 17 carries, 218 yards. 3 touchdowns.
(43-31). The Oregon Thunderbolts trail it, and they pretty much have no choice. They have to go for 2. Getting 2 points here would put them down by 10, and then the 2 scores are a touchdown and a field goal and not 2 touchdowns. Not a lot of time left. No time will run off on this play, however. It is an extra point, or extra 2 points.
Ivanov throwing.
And Ivanov can't make connections with Anthony Jordan, so now they just find themselves down by 12 points. So now they need to score 2 more touchdowns.
Which one are Amy?
He was trying to get you to say something.
We'll never win the game.
Well, it's not. You know, 144 is a lot of time, but they got to come up with the ball here. I mean, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. You don't come up with the ball on this onside kick.
They ended up getting the ball after. I would love it.
And this time with 144 to go, the onside kick is going to go to the same place, but we're going to have a different kicker. Ryan Vandenacker is going to try it. And it bounces too high at first. Stevenson comes up with it, and he's just going to run around and waste more time.
He's going to get some yardage.
He got all the way back to the 46-yard line of the Thunderbolts, and you almost have to think that without something weird or something strange, that probably did it right there. The Thunderbolts
I think he got
needed the ball.
tackled by Bell. Bill's 5'7", and Stevenson's about 6'3", 2 need the ball. Eagle ball, Thunderbolt 46.
And the Thunderbolts only have 2 timeouts left, which certainly doesn't help.
1 minute
Franklin's going to take it
37.
himself and run left side. And if he's smart, he stays in bounds, and he does, so the clock will continue to roll. He actually got a yard on the play, which
Nice
has
play
to be
by
a bonus.
James Hilliard. He ran him down, a big old linebacker from Cal. Chased him down from behind. Although Hilliard, I guess, making a case to start, is 5'10", 265.
But Franklin doing the right thing, making the veteran play. He stayed in bounds so the clock would continue to roll, which now says 1:04. And now the Thunderbolts will call a timeout with 56 seconds remaining. 2nd and 9 from the 45. And there's the give to Downey, excuse me, and he gets big yardage within a couple of yards of a first down. Big 8 yards on the play going up the middle. Thunderbolts trying to strip the ball away.
And there was only one Thunderbolt tackler that had him, and the rest of them standing there watching.
Or trying to strip the ball away, which is what they need.
To gang tackle and jump on and pile on.
And we may be 1 first down away from seeing the old kneel down play.
I think the Thunderbolts got in with 10 guys on that last play too, because Kellis is checking in now as the 11th man. Clock's running 7 seconds.
And this will be, unless barring a penalty, this will be the last play of the game, and it is. And the final score from Hare Field in Hillsboro, the Oregon Thunderbolts fall from the ranks of the undefeated. The Bellingham Eagles beat them 43-31.
How high scoring is that? That's hideously high scoring.
Good game, Amy.
I think she too. Oh yeah. You got your own. Hand sucking. Hand sucking.